Hello and welcome to the KSW Painting Year V8 Supercar series here at Road America, broadcasting live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me is Chaz Jacot with Marco Barbinet on the cameras. And Chaz, we are very happy to have you along with us. This is the first time you'll be, of course, covering this this series. And I'm pretty sure anyone who talks about this series will regard it very, very highly. And yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a couple of fascinating races tonight.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. It's an absolute pleasure to be watching these boys. Not followed it very closely before, if I'm honest, but I have always heard people going on about it. Everyone from across the iRacing community gets excited when they say that they're going to watch this. So hopefully there's people out there watching us and enjoying it just as much as I'm sure we're going to. It's definitely a change for me to be here commentating on V8 supercars. I love these things, but I can't drive to save my life. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm pretty hopeless as well. I don't think Marco will regard himself too highly either. In the championship, it is close. Johnny Brandon leads the way by 1 point. 2002 points to 2001 points over Jamie McKnight. So Nicole Foggy is 26 points behind with Tony Klusman in there as well. The stats on your screen, that doesn't take into account the drop rounds. The drop rounds are also very important, and that also basically brings Michael Crackman right into the running. When considering the one drop round that these drivers get across the season, Cracknell's only 15 points behind, with McKnight still very much in there, and Foggy even closer as well, and Jackson as well. He's in there as well. This is a super tight championship battle. And also we should mention the club standings. Richard Warmingham leading that one. Not too far ahead of Anthony Woodward. That's still open. With Clyde Whiting also having a good round last time at Phillip Island. So he's certainly going to have a chance as well. Of course, the races tonight, 12 laps the first one, 24 laps the second one. And with the track temperature 41 degrees, Chaz, and with reports of tyre degradation being very, very severe around this circuit, it's going to be a tough one on the drivers, even in this no-stop first race.
Yeah, definitely. It's always challenging conditions when the temperatures are that low. That high. Sorry, but I mean these things like to slide around. They can understeer into a corner and then very easily oversteer because the amount of power they've got. So these guys, no matter how experienced you are in these sort of things, they're going to be struggling to get out the corner on the power. I have also just noticed though that Johnny Brandon has actually had a disconnection. His internet seems to have let him down in this occasion. So hopefully he can get back in time. But if not, then that's quite a twist to proceedings.
Yeah, Johnny's had plenty of adversity across this season. Had a wheel disconnect at Belle Isle, which perhaps cost him a podium in the feature race. And also last time out at Phillip Island, got caught up in, I think, 3 collisions in the second race. So really has lost a lot of points, but he still leads the way in the championship. Yeah, he desperately needs to rejoin the session as soon as possible. We should also mention this round is being sponsored by End Mazda, and we'll give a big thanks to them as, you know, they're funding this this broadcast. West End Mazda is Australia's oldest independently owned and operated Mazda dealership, and being established and continue running operating in North Parramatta since 1963. I just read that off the website, if you didn't just guess. So certainly check out their website, especially if you're in Australia. We've got 2 more minutes to go in this session, and currently it's Tony Klusman leading the way. Also, Chaz, of course, going into this round, the new build, and it's affected this car a lot. I think the guys who are going to do well this evening are going to be the guys who have put in a lot of work to kind of relearn this car, because apparently it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it's always been a bit of a sort of untamable beast, no matter how good you are at driving it. But it's interesting that the build has affected them so much. I'm not 100% down on the exact changes they've made and how it's affected it, but I have heard different people saying stuff about it across the board. So it is going to be one of them where if people have put the time into it to relearn it, like you say, then they're going to perform well tonight. But at the same time, you can put as much time as you want into learning a car, and you might still not nail it. As we jump on board with Alex Mass now, I was being told he made his debut a few rounds ago and made an absolutely fantastic finish. And well, just got some really good results on the board. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he's one of the guys that's learning tonight, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We should certainly watch out for him, Alex. Yeah, his first round, I think, was at Phillip Island 2 weeks ago. And in the second race there, he was running up in the podium places at one point. It was a crazy start, to be fair, which he benefited from. He still got to be there to pick up the piece, and he drove absolutely superbly. So watch out for him later on. Chris Jackson just crosses the line. I think goes into 5th position ahead of Jamie McKnight. Also, Chaz, something that we do on these broadcasts is uninteresting facts about the circuit that we're going to. And this week's uninteresting fact is nearly 21 million gallons of ice cream are consumed by Wisconsians each year. So there you go. That's your uninteresting fact for this evening. Got
That just
10.
sounds like a normal weekend for me.
Well, I like that stat. However, gallons is a measure of volume, isn't it? So I'm thinking when the ice cream melts, surely the gallons increases.
Yeah, possibly actually. We'll have to. I think if the racing gets boring, we'll start researching. But I don't think that's going to be the case tonight.
Yeah, so we certainly will have to. And yeah, qualifying just ending now. So drivers are putting in their final laps right now. Got 3 minutes to put them in. And of course, this is a circuit that everyone loves, really, Chaz. So certainly, this is one of my favourite circuits. I don't know what your opinions is, but it's just an awesome challenge. It's an awesome driver circuit, and more than that, it's an amazing race circuit.
Oh, definitely. It's got a great mix of slow corners, fast corners, and you've got a lot of long straights where you can start slipstreaming people. And these boys, especially with the speeds these things get up to, I mean, we've seen them so far hitting over 160 mile an hour down the straights, which, I mean, these things are unbelievably quick in a straight line. So it's going to be interesting to see how much the slipstream comes into effect tonight. I just wanted to say as well, there's some belting liveries out there tonight. I've not seen many of them before, but there are some absolutely beautiful liveries, and it's nice to see that some drivers even go to the extent of having their helmets match up with the same sponsors and stuff. So it's a very professional series from what I've seen so far, so I'm sure we're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, absolutely. The liveries in this series, you're absolutely right. They are absolutely top notch. It's fantastic to view them and view the kind of evolution of the liveries as well for each team. Of course, this is very much a team-based series. A lot of a lot of teams with 3 or 4 drivers in this series. And just waiting for a couple more drivers to complete. I don't see any drivers. I think maybe a couple of people just came to the pits. Here is Michael Cracknell currently 4th in qualifying. He needs a good final corner here if he's going to be able to move up on the grid. Michael was a driver, Chaz, who has come into this series a little bit late. This is his rookie season. Has driven absolutely superbly and has got the momentum on his side. So he's certainly going to be one to watch, even maybe if he's a little bit off pace in this qualifying session.
Yeah, he seems like he's got the car hooked up. You can tell by the way he's turning it in. I mean, if I'm honest, whenever I've driven this thing, it's always been you're never too sure because you don't want to turn it in too hard in case it starts to understeer. But then you've got to think about the fact that mid corner it will try and kill you on the oversteer. But that's the end of qualifying. Then as we now look towards the grid.
Yes, and it's Tony Kleesman taking another pole position. He's had a little bit of a barren of pole positions recently, but he is on pole position for this one with Johnny Brandon starting in 2nd place. It's Nicole Foggy, his teammate, in 3rd, Michael Cracknell in 4th, Chris Jackson starts in 5th, Jamie McKnight 2nd in the championship in 6th, with Richard warming up the top AM driver. Gary Croft starts in 8th with Erling Boehmer. Good performance from him in 9th. I think this might be his first ever round in the series. Nikolai Bogotyrev starts in 10th. I'm sure you'll see the rest of the field cycling through now. Quick word before we get underway, Chaz. Of course, you haven't seen this series too much, but anyone you like the look of who you think is going to have a good chance in this one?
Well, every time I've seen Nicole Foggy race, he scares the absolute living daylights out of me with how that boy's got so much pace. But to be fair, I think championship leader Johnny Brandon's going to take every chance he can to get the win today. Could be interesting to see Jamie McKnight coming through, but that boy right there, number 5, Johnny Brandon, is going to be my shout.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, overtaking, very possible around this circuit. Not easy to overtake necessarily in these cars, but around this circuit with so many long straights, of course, kind of 3 very, very long straights around this circuit, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunities. Tony Kleesman characteristically taking a while, with Nick Hoffley just lining up on the grid. We've also got Greg Carr and Alex Mass to get on the grid as well, along with Michael Frost as well. Kleesman is now on the grid.
Just another great livery as well, actually. Really, really good livery. That sim ability one, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting also to see the XVR cars. Obviously, Johnny's in the Ford and Nichols in the Holden. I didn't actually realise that early when looking at them, but it's nice that the livery is so thorough across the two, because there's a lot of motorsports where teams would have one car in one livery and then one in another, and in my head it just doesn't match.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if Tony Gleeson can get away from the line. Away we go here at Road America. Gleeson gets a really nice launch actually, and he's pulled ahead of Johnny Brandon, who might even be under pressure from Nicole Foggy. Should be able to hang on to that one. Can Michael Cracknell get involved? I think that's Chris Jackson just looking to the inside as well. Cracknell though, around the outside, going through turn 1, and he might just be able to pull ahead here as they run down into turn 2. It's ever so close between the top 2 as well, but Cracknell I think has got that one done, and he's got ahead of Nicole Foggy. A crucial start for Michael Cracknell for the Evolution Racing team. Can Brandon though, pressure going into turn 5. We've got a couple of spins of Erling Bomer from 9th position on the grid with an issue, but Kloosman just about pulling ahead. Can he hold off the attack from the XBR driver in these opening stages? No, he cannot, because down the inside is Johnny Brandon, championship leader, and he's moved into the lead of this race now.
Yeah, he's definitely taken charge. That's what he needed to do. He wanted to just get it hooked up on that one, and now he just needs to try and get away from Kloosman. Great to see Cracknell make such a good start there as well and get up to 3rd, but I mean, it's a real shame for Erling Bomer. He's obviously a bit sort of in hesitation, or I don't know, probably excitement really at his first round, trying to get the throttle down early, and it's way too easy to do in these cars, so hopefully he'll get back through the field quickly.
Yeah, hopefully, and at least he hopefully will get a large reverse grid for the second race. He could be a real danger if that is the case. Now it's all up to Kloosman to stay close in these opening stages. Of course, Jackson's all over the place. Sorry, in the background, they're almost just down the straight, getting all kinds of sideways out there, and he's still running in 5th position. But of course, they ran the enduro race where XVR and NQR. Never Quit Racing had an awesome duel for the lead, and we're also seeing that today with Michael Cracknell also very much involved in this one.
Yeah, it's really good to see that they've obviously got the talent in both areas, because it is quite different when you're in terms of your mindset anyway when it comes to an enduro event. But the boys are definitely making sure that their team is represented as thoroughly as possible at the top of the standings. Foggy looks like he's tucked in behind Cracknell. He might be able to get that position down the straight. We'll have to see how the slipstream comes into effect. A little bit of speed. You can see the speed difference, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless Foggy's brave on the brakes. It's not quite. He's just playing it safe for now. At the end of the day, he's got 12 laps. 11 of them to remain, obviously, so he's just going to look at, sort of identify his chances, I think. That's the best way for Nickel to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you got to remember, of course, that the top 6 all have a chance at the championship title still. The Never Quit Racing drivers falling a little bit behind, but they've still got a chance that if Kloosman wants to win this title for the 3rd time, he's won seasons 1 and 2, hasn't won in seasons 3 and 4, and he's almost into the back of the XBR driver here. Goes a little bit wide, and he's going to be under pressure here. Cracknell's all over the place, and he's surely going to lose a position. It's now an XBR 1-3 as a mistake for Michael Cracknell. Has lost in 1 position, could lose in 2, but he remains in 4th place.
Yeah, I think he might have just been anticipating what was going on ahead, and then when, well, even if, to be fair, if he was chasing Kloosman and watching him for his braking points, he might have copied him and just, they've both overdone it. It's quite easy to do, to be fair. I mean, when you are following the car in front, you have to obviously pay a lot of attention as to what they're doing, so hopefully he'll get the position back, but I mean, it's definitely lined up to be a good race with all these quick boys at the front.
Yeah, Cracknell certainly the driver with the momentum going into this round, and it's just built on his performances. So you'd certainly expect him to come back later on. He's been very good at just not making mistakes through the season, but that one was a little bit uncharacteristic. Brandon pulling away from Kloosman a bit. It's 0.8 of a second getting out of that slipstream range. Nicole Foggy's kind of struggled in qualifying so far this season. Much better in the races. I don't know if that's a characteristic of Foggy in the World GT, Chaz. Is he sometimes a little bit lacking in qualifying and then makes it up in the race?
It depends on the track really with Nickel, is what I've noticed, because some places he can put it on pole and just drive away from everyone. He's incredible at sort of staying consistent like that. But others he has sort of qualified in, I would say maybe 6, probably worst. I mean, he's always up there or thereabouts. But yeah, his racecraft is brilliant. He's a very fair racer. Obviously everyone gets into contact now and then, but it's usually just because of how close he races with people. He's very competitive. But yeah, I feel that qualifying isn't always his strongest, but it must just be the track, if I'm honest. I mean, he's quite close to Klusman right now, though. He's getting quite a bit of time in the first quarter. Maybe Klusman struggled a little bit with some of his turning, but these XVR boys are definitely getting it hooked up. He gets a big slide on the exit, both of them drifting there. Great to see him trying to get the foot down as early as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. We know from Tony Klusman, very aggressive driving style. I'd say Foggy, from that maybe GT racing experience, maybe is a little bit smoother, won't quite just stop it on the nose quite as much. They want to play a little bit more speed through, but Klusman is a very much a V8 supercar driver through and through. So just a bit of a spin in the background. Guy Croft has got an issue, I think. Just going down the order, and here we go. This is getting a bit interesting. And yeah, just pulling ahead, I think, was Brinton O'Brien up into 8th place. That'd be a fantastic result for O'Brien if he can pull that one off, with Woodward up 3 positions himself up into the top 9.
Yeah, it's good to see these boys making the progress at the moment. Bit of a shame for Gary Croft to lose his places, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's determined to get them back. It's a good little battle there that's going on as we look back now at what happened to Gary. So they're going down the main straight, sorry, not main straight, one of the back straights. And yeah, oh, he gets a tag. He gets a tag there. And I was thinking that might have been the reason for the damage there. That was number 28 car. That was, sorry, Gary Croft was the 28 car. It was the 555 that got hit, wasn't it? That was Nikolai I can't say that name.
Bogotyrev.
Bogotyrev. I heard you say it before and couldn't do it myself, so I apologise, Nikolai, if you hear that. But yeah, at least we know it now for future references. Right onto the back of Brandon.
Yeah, it took me a few weekends to learn Nikolai's name. We did
you say his name, he's just gone flying down the order actually. Nikolai Bogotyrev, there you go, I've said it right. He's flying down the order, I'm not sure what's happened to him. I think it must be a commentator's curse there. I've been told that you're really powerful in the commentator's curse department, Sam, and I think that's just shown it.
I blame that on Marco. Nothing to do with me whatsoever, unless it involves Scott Malcolm, of course. As Klusman drags himself closer and closer. Clearly a mistake from Brandon on that last lap, although look at the gap that Klusman's pulled away from Foggy. So I don't know if Klusman was just napping for these first few laps, but he is absolutely flying at this point in the race now. On that last lap, he was half a second faster, so, and he is right into the slipstream now of the XVR sim racing car. He's 1.5 tenths behind. Going defensive is Johnny Brandon. That's what Klusman failed to do on the first lap, but he's going to still try to go for the move on the outside. Either of them outbrake themselves. Klusman with a lockup, and he can't make the move yet, but he's still got a good exit. He's still very close, and he's still looking for the move, Chas.
Yeah, he's just got to be very careful though, because Nickel Foggy's looking very ominous in that Holden behind him. Just also an interesting point is going into this series, I always thought that literally everyone just drove the Holden because the Ford was considered old and useless, but it's great to see it leading the race. And then obviously you've got the likes of Jamie McKnight driving it as well, who's second in the championship. So it's nice that there's that mix of cars, because I was worried that it was just going to be a Holden fest, but this is a great battle between these three already. Brandon probably feeling the pressure a little bit now. He's seeing Klusman reeling back in, but Foggy's going to be rubbing his hands together going, go on son, just get it in there, and he puts the opposite lock on the exit of the carousel there into the right king. There's a scary corner to go through in a V8 supercar, because you just don't know what it's going to do. It'll be interesting to see how close Foggy is. He's actually dropped quite a bit further back now, so Klusman's going to be feeling confident that he can get this done on Brandon, don't you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to feel confident right now. I don't think there's any other way of him driving, to be honest. He's got to be on the absolute ragged edge if he's going to get this move done. He's pretty much the same distance back as I think he was on the last lap. It's 3 tenths going into the final corner. It's all about the exit. Brandon, yeah, pretty much hooks that one up just about perfect. Maybe took slightly late to apex. All about the exit, sorry. You can see we've got a chain of 3 cars and then another 3 cars with Richard Warmingham a little bit lonely in 7th position. It's, yeah, just dropping back a little bit. Actually, no, he's close on this up, is Klusman. So if he can stay nose to tail through these first few corners, he's going to have a chance into 5 or 3, whatever it is, because the cornering does not make sense around this circuit. As Brandon breaks for turn 3. It's turn 3, I think, because there's a kink just beforehand. But here we go, 2 tenths of a second, and it's going to be side by side down into the 5th corner as Cracknell's a little bit off the track. He's going to lose out to McKnight. He's not going to lose out to Warming, unfortunately. But where is Brandon and Klusman? Klusman trying to go for the move, and it's hit Brandon, and Brandon could be into the wall here. A massive impact here at the start sorry, in the middle of this race 1.
Yeah, it's just, I was thinking it was going to happen just as he got closer and closer, and they just edged up to the braking zone, and then that was that. I think Klusman started to come across, you'll see it now on the replay. He does start to come across to the right, but it's just a tiny tap. I'm not sure whether there might have even been a bit of netcode involved there, because he didn't look that close to me. He got a big slide on through the corner though, but he's still ahead of Nickel Foggy in the race. But that's a heavily damaged car there for Brandon. It'll be interesting to know how it's affected the steering and whether he can carry on properly throughout the race. Take one more look, let's have a little on-board boost now. Yeah, he starts to edge it over to the right, doesn't he? And then he loses it on the brakes a little bit there. So you see Brandon limping in the background.
Of course, we saw quite a few netcodes during the BSR-TC, and a report from the new build is perhaps that the netcodes are a little bit more likely. I don't know about that one. I think even if it was netcode, Klusman may have hit him. Klusman's going to be off the circuit here, and Foggy can surely pick up from this. No, he can't quite. This is such an important race now for Klusman, but he wants to make up points in the championship. This is a perfect situation, and Foggy is looking for any way through here, going into the final corner, and they are guaranteed to be side by side. I think going down into turn 1, an awesome launch from Nicole Foggy from the final corner, and they're already side by side, and he's going to have the better momentum. Klusman might even be better just to get out to the throttle, get back into the slipstream, and get back that momentum, because Foggy has taken the lead of this race. It's almost side by side, just behind as well. McKnight could somehow get a podium out of this, just gaining from other people's mistakes, and McKnight is down the inside, second in the championship. He's not going to be second in the race, he's going to be down to 4th in the race, and benefiting from this is Michael Cracknell, who makes back that position.
Well, it's all kicking off now. Unfortunately, Johnny Brandon's in the pit lane. He's actually pulled the car in. I noticed on the timing screen the gap was getting larger to the car in front of him, so I think he's probably just going to get it repaired and bring it back out. We'll have to see. But Nickel Foggy now leads the way ahead of the two Never Quit racing cars. And Klusman's going to be just sort of gritting his teeth and just thinking, right, let's stick with him for a bit, see what he does, because obviously he's had time to assess how Brandon was driving. Now he's going to try and have to do that with Nickel as well, and just see whether he can make the move or not. But it's looking good for the Never Quit Racing guys at the moment, 2nd and 3rd in this one.
Yeah, those drivers just behind, just profiting from other people's mistakes right now. And yeah, 3, 4, and 5. Of course, I repeat it again. It's so important for the championship. This. I think if it ended like this, I talk about as if I know what I'm talking about. I think Cracknell would be leading the championship if it ended like this for the first time this season. So big implications. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, that's
implications. Into this race. But of course, Johnny Brandon, Jazz, finishing where he is. If we get a big reverse, he's going to need a big reverse. He could run away with the second race and get a lots of points with the feature race. But of course, if it's a small one, then he's kind of a bit screwed either way. But we'll have to wait and see again.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that he'll be hoping to take advantage of, but at the same time, he won't want to be banking on that. He'll want to try and gain the positions back in this one. As I look at the timing screen at the moment of where Johnny is, he is gaining on the car in front. Literally, the tenths are just counting down to Kusiak in front of him, and well, hopefully he continues that for the race and gets his places back. As we look back now from Nickel Foggy, Tony Klusman, original pole sitter. Nickel started 3rd. Chris Jackson started 5th as well. So they've both gone up 2 places at the moment. But Cracknell is then on the attack. Well, I say on the attack. He's chasing Chris Jackson down at least for now. So it'll be good to see whether they can fight for the last podium spot. I'm pretty sure these two boys now will be battling for the win to the end.
Yeah, you'd certainly expect so, although you don't really know where this race is going to turn. Only lap 7 there, so we're only halfway through the race. Still plenty of time to go, and I wonder, Klusman all over the place, because they're all sliding all over the place, obviously. But Klusman seems to be sliding more than anyone. Is that costing him? He has got a fantastic slipstream though, and with such a big braking zone, you can see just the dip in the road here. And it's extremely difficult to get the car stopped. Klusman just about did there. But I think as this race goes on, Chaz, we're going to see those drivers who are a little bit smoother on their tyres just starting to benefit, and I think that might hurt Klusman in the closing stages.
Yeah, definitely. He seems to have a bit more of an aggressive approach than Nickel. I mean, I've always seen that Nickel's a smooth driver from watching him in the World GT Championship. Trust me, I've watched a lot of his laps to try and learn how the hell he does it. But yeah, Klusman, like you say, he's sliding around all over the place. I mean, again, as you say, everyone tends to be, but it's at different sort of extents. You're never going to be able to stop this car sliding, to be fair, but like I say, you've just got to manage it. It's one of those where smooth application of the throttle and smooth application of the brakes is very paramount in these cars. I don't believe we've got no traction control, no ABS, and in a car that handles like it does and has got good power, that's a frightening prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. We already talked about, you know, how we've struggled, at least in these cars, and yeah, these drivers do make it look extremely easy, but trust us, it is not. They have got to be on the edge, and when it's so competitive as this, of course, Nico Foggy, the driver who's winning the World GT Championship currently, which is one of the most, you know, recognized series in all of league on all the leagues on iRacing. So yeah, shows the quality of the field out here. Klusman once again close. He's 0.4 of a second behind, and it's only in these sorry, I'm muddling up all my words right now. It's only in these closing stages of the straights that Klusman is closing in significantly. He's 0.2 behind. What about Foggy's defensive style, Chad? I don't know too much about it. Is he usually a good defender?
I'd say so. If you ever wanted to watch a race of Nickel Foggies, then you'd actually have to come back to this track, and I think it was season 3 of the World GT Championship, and it was Nickel Foggy against Ash Sutton, and it was the most amazing race I've ever seen between two people with the lead. As Klusman takes a look down the inside, he seems to be stronger on the brakes here. He seems to have the car really, really dialed in when it comes to slowing it down. It's just on the throttle, it seems a bit more drifty poo style. But yeah, if you wanted to see Nickel defending for his life and having a great battle, then watch him and Ash Sutton racing in World GT around here. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he needs to use all that experience now. Of course, still very much P3 and P4 in this one. Chris Jackson on that last lap was only 1/10 of a second slower. He's got a chance still. We haven't paid too much attention to the drivers further down the field. So we will just, you know, mention that. Of course, Richard warming a little bit on it by himself in 6th. Then a big 10-second gap back to Anthony Woodward. He's 2nd in the club race and in the club championship. Brendan O'Brien, I think, actually closing in on that last lap, actually pretty much matching Woodward. Those guys are in 7th and 8th with Guy Koch running in Alex Mass. Good race for him so far, 15th to 10th. I was wondering where he was in qualifying, but much better in this race with Samuel Busin up 8 positions from 19th on the grid. Lane O'Connor having a nice little run as well, and for the XBR team, he's in 12th with Greg Carr in 13th, and Erling Boehmer recovering after that poor start. He's in 14th, and will be closing in on those guys just ahead. And of course, an update on Johnny Brennan. He's now only 3.5 seconds behind Maciej Kuziak, and will almost certainly catch him. He was 9 seconds behind. You can see he's not that far off, maybe a top 12, but he's going to end up a little bit short, I think, despite lapping some 2 seconds a lap faster than those guys. As we've got a battle back on here. Foggy versus Klusman. Foggy going defensive. And if Klusman can possibly get his teammate involved in this one, that'd be pretty good fun.
Yeah, he just needs to stop sliding the car like he did then. He's lost a lot of momentum now, as you can see. I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll gain it back, because Nickel just seems to be just managing the pace at the moment, because he knows that Tony can't go for it. Look at this sideways action there from Klusman. That's brilliant to see. Absolutely great car control, to be fair. It may not be gaining him 10ths down the straight, but he's doing a good job of making it an entertaining corner exit anyway. Just a quick shout as well, you mentioned Johnny Brandon a second ago. I've been watching the timing screen since he dropped down. He was 3.5 seconds behind Kusiak. He's now 2.3. When I first looked at it a lap ago, he was 9.5 seconds back from him. So he's absolutely on it at the moment when it comes to chasing Kusiak. But you're right about Chris Jackson. If Klusman can get him involved, then I think it might pile the pressure on a little bit more to Foggy. But we'll have to see in the long run whether that works. There's only 3 laps to go after this one, so he's going to have to get the job done quick if they're going to do it at all.
Oh, of course, Chris Jackson has only ever won 2 races in this series. He won Phillip Island season 3, and he won Phillip Island 2 weekends ago. Apart from that, he's not won any races in this series. So this would be a first outside of Australia for him if he can do it. And he's right now got a fantastic pace. Is it a bit of a question for Never Quit Racing to maybe swap their drivers around? Like that I don't think that will happen, because Klusman and Jackson very much are, you know, rivals. That they're not, you know, going to play the team game too much. But that could be a wise choice, because Jackson, I think, has probably protected his tyres a little bit better and has got great momentum.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of it. I don't think swapping it around would be a wise decision for him, because I think just making the move in the first place might lose him a bit of time to Nickel. I think we can't lose any time to Nickel at all. You've got to give every tenth that you've got. As Klusman again sliding on a corner exit, trying to get the speed up the straight. Not sure whether that'll hurt him or help. I was probably thinking, to be fair, I can put my foot down a bit early, maybe get a bit of a slide because the slipstream will help me. But it's a case of whether that'll equalise the gap or at least gain him a bit more time. You've got to just sort of a bit of trial and error, I imagine, when you're in a race scenario. You can't hang about, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. In the past 2 laps, Jackson has gained 1.2 seconds. He's absolutely flying. He's going to be on these guys by the end of this race. 12-lap race, of course, as I'm sure you can see on the graphics. And now just 0.4 of a second between the top 2. Only 1.6 seconds between the top 3. Once again, Klusman's just going to be a little bit too far back, I think, unless he is willing to go for a big dive. And after making contact with an XVR driver earlier on, I doubt he'll want to do the same again. Just going a little bit wide. He seems to... I imagine Klusman at this point, Chaz, as long as he's got his head kind of in the right mentality, he's probably just thinking, okay, let's not spin up these wheels because that's what's losing him time. Everywhere else, I think he's pretty much got the pace, particularly through this part of the circuit.
Yeah, definitely. He seems to sort of close up when it comes to like the middle of the lap or the beginning of the lap, but when it comes to the end of the lap and down the straight, I'd probably even say the same one as well. He just seems to lose out a little bit. I think it's the higher speed corners that might not be so kind to him. You can see how much he's sliding the car around at the moment. I mean, the car was turning right then, and he had the steering wheel level. And again, we'll probably see a little. Yeah, there it is. There's the opposite lock as he comes out of there. I just think he's probably going to be happy to get second at this point. It's like you were saying before, Johnny Brandon, who there's Alex Massa around. Let's see what happens with all this big contact there with big damage to the car. He must have just got it on the grass, I think, going down here and then into the wall. Yep, there you go. Just properly digs in there. Real shame for Alex Massa there. We were just talking before the race about how quick that guy was when making his debut in the first few rounds. We look back at Nickel Foggy though, the gap just seems to be staying the same now. I was going to say that Klusman's probably going to be happy with second, because obviously Brandon being further downfield, it's a good chance for him to gain points. Update on Brandon as well, actually, he has passed Kushak now and he's gained 2.5 seconds on him already.
Yeah, it's going to get Mass, isn't he? Or Mass with another incident. Of course, that first mistake for Mass, I think pretty sure every driver who's been on iRacing has made that mistake through the kink. So you know, oh sorry, not through the kink, but through turn 7, I guess it is. But yeah, very common mistake, just dipping a wheel onto the grass. Once again, Klusman's just too far back. It's half a second going onto this straight. And Jackson on that last lap actually losing 0.2 of a second. It was a much better lap than Nickel Foggy, to be fair. And this, the penultimate lap of the race. As long as Foggy keeps it clean, he should just about survive and take some 150 crucial points for the championship, which will pretty much put him back on terms with his XVR teammate, Johnny Brandon.
Yeah, it'd be great for him to do that. I'm sure he'll be happy to do it while taking a win as well. I mean, a lot of people just sort of, when they're in the points game, they're thinking, well, just get what we can out of this one. You're usually saying, oh, I'll get a second or a third, or maybe like down to 5th or 6th. But in this scenario, to take a win, that's an absolutely massive thing to celebrate in itself. But then the fact that you've gained so many points in the championship against your rivals is also what you want. So I'm sure we have to do that. As we look at Greg Carr a bit further down the field, taking a bit of an excursion. Gary Croft and Brendan O'Brien have actually just gone down the order. Greg just getting it locked up on the inside there and then taking a bit of a trip. The car behind him went with him. Once again, his own issues with that. Nikolai is off as well. Not sure what's happened to him there. That's before the kink, isn't it? He might have just probably just dipped it on the grass on his way in and then not actually got it through the kink. We'll have a look and see. Oh, that was the 85 there getting involved. That was Kusiak on him there. Brandon's gained a few places out of there, so let's have a look at Nikolai. Well, that was who was that in the middle of the road? That was Brendan O'Brien. That must have been a result of the accident before. Brenton was already dropping down the order. Another car involved with him as well. It was Gary Croft. So obviously when they were rejoining, that's then affected Nikolai and unfortunately taking him off.
Yeah, it's all going on in that kind of battle for the outer fringes of the top 10. One more chance then for Tony Klusman, most likely. He's 0.3 of a second behind. That is within range for a move down into turn 5. It's all about the exit here from turn 3. Can they get the power down? They've both absolutely nailed it, to be fair. It's 3.5 of a second, and Klusman is going to be right in range by the end of this straight. It's down to 0.3 of a second. You can see it for yourself. So it's closing. Will he look to the inside? Nicole Foggy just taking a slightly middle line, just covering off the dive bomb perhaps. And Klusman is still close. Is there anywhere he can go for the move from here, Chaz?
I reckon that what he's going to try and do is save it until the very last corner, because Nicol was really quick out of there earlier in the race. Excuse me. He was really quick out of there at the final corner earlier in the race, obviously, when he got the move done. So Klusman's going to know that he doesn't want to get the move done before that, in case Nicol's behind him and ready for it. So he's going to make the most of the slipstream, try and just get a good run out of the final corner. He's going to stick with him, put the pressure on him, and then just hopefully see what he can do from there. Just in the background as well, Gary Croft has dropped down the order a little bit more now, promoting Johnny Brandon to 13th. Brenton O'Brien just got past Adrian Bowman as well. This is the thing that counts right now, is Foggy, and to be fair, he seems like he's got a little bit of a gap. He might be able to bring it home for him.
Yeah, Canada corner is the last big braking zone for these drivers. I don't think Klusman's in range. Jackson hasn't really caught these guys as I thought he would do. Almost a little bit squirrely under the brakes for Nicol Foggy. Klusman getting a bit of gravel, and that might just be the gap that Nicol Foggy needs. He's only won 2 races. This would be back-to-back race wins, actually, from his feature race win at Phillip Island. And he's brought himself right back into championship contention. Nicol Foggy approaches the line at Road America, and he wins race 1. And what a crucial win that could be, whilst Johnny Brandon struggles. Nicol Foggy wins here at Road America, with the Never Quit Racing drivers picking up crucial points in 2nd and 3rd. Michael Cracknell, he may well be the championship leader now in 4th, with Jamie McKnight also picking up crucial points in 5th. How many times has he done that this season? Anthony Woodward will finish 7th, and Samuel Busen, what a drive! Starting in 19th place, he's going to finish in 8th, and it's all going on still down the order here. Johnny Brandon actually almost getting past Erling Boehmer there. So this would be an awesome result for Brandon. He's got to make sure that he keeps it in a straight line there, and he is going to lose out to Boehmer, but that's still a very good 12th position for Brandon, considering that he was down in 18th at one point.
Yeah, definitely. He's done a really good recovery drive there, but like you say, Samuel Busen, what a drive that is. 11 places gained. That was, when I said there was belting liveries in this championship, that was one of the ones that I was referring to. It's absolutely gorgeous livery that he's got on that car. But you've got to give a hand to Johnny Brandon there for making that entertaining. I'd like to see that again as well, actually, when this is over. But what a drift he was getting on there. How, I don't know, he kept that car in a straight line, and he was still gaining time on the car in front of him. And it was just amazing. We see Alex Mass doing the same, giving it absolute stacks out the corner. And I suppose once the race is over, really, I mean, just do what you want, can't you? Plant your foot, have a bit of fun on the way up to the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was absolutely crucial for Brandon. They got those couple of moves done. Of course, O'Brien and Croft were a long way ahead at one point, had a bit of a collision with one another. I think we now can go through the final order, and it's Nicol Foggy. Like I said earlier, taking his 3rd race win of the season. It could well be his most important, with Tony Klusman in 2nd position, only 7/10 behind. Chris Jackson finishes in 3rd. He'll take that from a 3rd race start. Michael Cracknell finishes in 4th. I think the championship leader now, 7 seconds off the lead. Him and Jamie McKnight don't necessarily have the best pace up there, but they did do a very good job of just finishing in those very respectable positions, with Richard Warning, the top AM driver, in 6th place. Then it's Anthony Woodward in 7th. Samuel Busen, like I said earlier, up 11 places into 8th. Greg Carr finishes in 9th. Very good result for him. That might be Carr's best result in this series, I think. Lane O'Connor finishes in 10th. That's a nice result for Lane as well. Erling Boehmer in 11th. I think that's a debut performance for him as well, with Johnny Brandon recovering back to 12th after starting on the front row. Brinsley Brown finishes in 13th, with Guy Croft 14th. Then it's Dominic Sori, Maciej Kuziak, Nikolai Bogotayev, Katie Reyes-Turante, Alex Mass, Clyde Whiting in 20th. And then 4 laps down was Michael Frost. And not finishing the race, or not starting the race, so was Greg Branch in 22nd position. And Mark 8, you're going to enjoy this, I'm sure. I know you've already done it like 3 times, but I think we can spin the wheel.
Well, more like 103 times, considering all the offline testing I did, but everyone knows that I switched to broadcasting because I like to do the spinning wheel. So here we go. Let's bring the wheel on your screens. Should be available to you on your screen right now, and let's roll it. Whoa, it's 12.
12. Wow. Okay. I was talking how important it was for Johnny Brandon to make up those positions. It really was. He finished in 12th in that race, so he will get pole position and potentially an easy feature race victory. You don't get easy race victories though in this race. It will be fascinating to see if Nicole Foggy, Tony Klusman, Chris Jackson and co can come back in race 2. That will be with you in about 25 minutes time. Do not miss it.
the chair of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher at the line.
Welcome back to the KSW Painting UV8 Supercar series here at Road America. And yeah, we are here for race 2 of the evening. What a race one it was. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me is Chaz Jacob with Marco Barbonet on the cameras, broadcasting live on Apex Racing TV. And Chaz, of course, haven't seen too much of this series before, but I imagine you're quite impressed just by race 1.
Oh yeah, absolutely amazing racing. Great to see these boys getting so sort of sideways and all over the place. It's always exciting to watch. I was just admiring the professionalism of this series as well, with things like the you can see it there, the little windscreen banners being different colours depending on the class. I mean, a lot of online racing series could learn a lot from these guys. They've done it all completely properly, and the racing has been kept brilliant because of that. So yeah, I'm very, very impressed. I'm going to be following this very closely going forward.
Whilst I was eating my pucker pie between the break, I did do some points calculations for the current situation in the championship, and this is if there are this is not the drop round for the drivers. Drop round makes it really complicated, but by my calculations, without this also doesn't include the bonus points that you get for clean driving, but I'm just going to shut that down. Michael Cracknell is on 1,800 points exactly. Then it's Nicole Foggy on 1,785. Johnny Brandon's on 1,779, and June McKnight is on 1,770. So it's really close. I didn't even calculate the Never Quit Racing drivers. They're right in it as well. They're closer in the championship than they've been for a while now. So it's really hotting up. And with Johnny Brandon, of course, on pole position for this one, Chaz, if he wants to get back momentum in the championship, he really needs to just get a light to flag victory. This is a great opportunity for 300 points for him.
Yeah, definitely. He's just got to keep his head. He's got to keep his focus and just get on with it. I mean, we saw that the only reason that he didn't really win race 1 was with Tony. I'm not sure, obviously, what will be done because of that incident. I'm not sure on the penalty system or anything, but it just seemed like a racing incident to me, if you ask me. But we'll have to just make sure that Johnny keeps his nose out of trouble for this one.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's on pole position. Just needs to get a good start to Train Brown. He's alongside on the front row, Erling Boehmer. A good chance for him. So too, Lane O'Connor starting 3rd, and Greg Carr starting in 4th. Samuel Busen starts in 5th, with Anthony Woodward in 6th. Then it's Richard Warmingham in 7th. Jamie McKnight starts in 8th. Michael Cracknell, championship leader, in 9th. Chris Jackson 10th. Tony Klusman 11th, and race 1 winner Nicole Foggy starts in 12th position as the final few cars just get onto the grid. I think we just got Tony Klusman and Alex Mass to get onto the grid for us. So to Clyde Whiting, I think. And I think we are nearly ready. Just got Alex Mass to get on the grid, the number 44 car.
It's interesting to note as well that Lane O'Connor is 3rd on the grid, who could act as a rear gunner in the long run for Johnny Brandon here. So maybe to help Johnny in the championship, they'll be playing some tactics. As Erling Boehmer's rolling back a little bit on the grid as the lights go green and away they go, minimalising the wheel spin off the line.
Brandon with a really nice start, although Boehmer's relatively close. Going into turn 1, can Lane O'Connor get that 2nd position? Could it be an XVR 1-2? Yes, it is. A car off into the inside. That was one of the Assyria racing girls. I think that was Samuel Busen who came and work there for Marco.
Oh,
and big crash there. And that's Nicole Foggy, I think. And we've got another XVR driver as well. So that must have been Warmingham and Foggy. I think that was Warmingham in the 2nd one, Foggy in the 1st one. And that's big issues for those drivers. Also, Tony Klusman right to the rear of the field, so Klusman getting involved in a collision. And it all means that Chris Jackson's already up 3 positions. Jamie McKnight's already up into 6th place.
Yeah, it looked like Klusman was actually turned across the front of Nicole Foggy there. With the cars joining on from the inside, they all moved across and tried to get out of the way, but he just got turned into that wall, and it's a 45-degree angle. And again, who was that got turned? I think it was Bogatyrov who actually got turned there as well, and he took somebody else out. Just a big mess of cars being turned around. A lot of it was unavoidable from what we could see, but look at the front then. It's Johnny Brandon leading from Lane O'Connor. He's under attack right now from Greg Carr. And another one of the it's got similability. It's an NQR car, I know that much. Just noticed the similability sponsor. Thought it's the same team. I don't want to say it just in case it's not, but it is. But the XVR boys controlling it at the front now. Checking out as it stands though.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be a big haul of points because the next championship contender, Jamie McKnight, currently running in 6th place. He's going to be really fascinating to come. This is a fantastic year of driving. So important for drivers to make the moves early on here. And actually, McKnight's under pressure from Jackson, and McKnight might be going into the back of the 265 car just ahead of Anthony Woodward. And he might get ahead of Anthony Woodward here. Around the outside, going into the north corner. There's contact just behind, and maybe even spinning just behind. Cracknell's also involved in that one as well. McKnight's down the inside. Jackson is, actually losing out, was he, to Michael Cracknell there. So yes, McKnight, Woodward, Cracknell, and Jackson now down into 8th place.
Cracknell's got to be really careful now. Now he's got the championship lead. He's got battling too hard with Chris. He wants to try and beat him in the long run here. We've got a lot of laps to go. As we look back at Greg Carr then challenging Lane O'Connor, goes into turn 1, and also down the inside Erling there makes a great move. So that's Bomer up to 3rd place. And it just seems like Lane O'Connor's caught up there, as that's the 265 car. Anthony Woodward places one of his teammates there down the inside. It's Chris Jackson. Obviously, Woodward is going to be trying to battle for the big sideways movement for Jackson there. Woodward's going to be trying to battle for the club standings here, but it's Erling Bomer at the moment on his debut, I believe. 3rd in the race. He's even going for 2nd now. He's made the move already on the way down to the braking zone. Although Greg Carr's later on the brakes and he gets it done, although I say that, he's run wide. He's also Bomer up to 2nd. Great work.
Yeah, absolutely superb from Bomer. Showed good pace earlier on, and Foggy's off again. So it's not the race that the championship leader wanted whatsoever. And as he got a bit of an issue, just going very slowly, getting a little bit slow to kind of get back onto the circuit. And here it was. I think it was O'Brien, was it, with the contact perhaps? And I think it was Foggy just behind that. Oh, and he massively outbraked himself. Nearly went into the back of the SEA racing driver. To be fair, Jazz there, that was pretty good avoidance from Nicol.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, Boozing probably couldn't have called that himself, but Nicol really, I think a little bit of lacquer might have got swapped from car to car, but that's about it now. As you see him there, he's behind Dominic Sorry, and I'm sorry if I've pronounced that name wrong, but he's on the chase now, is Foggy, and he really needs to get his head down and gain some places back if he's going to keep his championship hunt, but that car looks like it's not behaving itself.
Well, the championship was ended right now. I think he'd be down into 4th in the championship because he's got a few quick drivers and they are fighting against each other now. Michael Cracknell versus Jamie McKnight. Cracknell round the outside, and also getting involved as well is Chris Jackson. McKnight not having fantastic pace, although in the first race these two seem pretty evenly matched. In this race, it's Cracknell who has made the move. McKnight's going to try to come back with Lane O'Connor and Greg Carr side by side just ahead as well. But I think we'll stick with the McKnight battle just for now because he needs to come back against his rival down the pit straight here at Road America, and he's actually got a fantastic run. Cracknell not feeling the need to defend on the inside, and McKnight is surely going to take that position back. Yes, he is, but maybe coming back into turn 3 could be Michael Cracknell, but McKnight with a nice drive off, and now Cracknell's having to defend against Chris Jackson just behind.
Yeah, they've got a really good snake of cars going on here. He's going to want Jackson to get distracted by O'Brien, who's behind him now. Not forgetting though as well that McKnight and Cracknell are teammates. These cars from the same stable, both of them part of the Evolution Racing team, and it's going to be interesting to see if they have words with each other after this race because, I mean, well, the gloves are definitely off, it seems. They've got a battle against each other now. They're both thinking of their own championships. I'm sure they'll be communicating well enough anyway to make sure that they don't end up in an incident.
Yeah, you certainly hope so. There's Nicol Foggy just reaching the back of this chain. You think that the chain would be expanding at this point in the race, but instead I think it's just going to it because there's so much battling out there. And actually now McKnight has caught back up to the back of Greg Carr, so 4th and 5th very close to each other as Tony Klusman comes into the pits. He should be able to get to the end of the race from here.
Yeah, it's quite interesting though. You come into the pits and the car was damaged before and it looked clean then, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with Klusman at the moment. He's definitely still going. Yeah, he's in his pit box though. I'll keep an eye on the time of how long he's in the pit stop. Seems like a pretty long stop to be fair. He's not just sitting around. Not sure what he's doing, whether it's damage to the car or anything, but I'll keep an eye on it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely crucial this race for Tony Klusman. We were talking at Phillip Island 2 weeks ago how he had to get a couple of wins and he made a mistake or two. Car off in the background there, really deep into the gravel. It's at Maciej Kuziak. That's a bit disappointing for Kuziak because I think he's lost about 5 places there. And from Richard warning this was the issue for Maziec. And as he just missed his big point, as we've seen so many times, and actually that's big contact. And yeah, I worry for Kuziak there in terms of his damage. Oh, and there's a car there. It's Michael Cracknell in a massive turn of events here. Michael Cracknell's off, and that's a massive turn in this championship. Cracknell, he's not had a crash all season, has lost a lot of points in. There it was.
That's a massive damaged car. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. So Ganders.
Oh, he's gone for pits.
He goes to avoid. I think there was a slower car in front there. He goes to avoid and just turns across and doesn't realise that Jackson's there. And really, I don't think really that's on anyone else, to be honest. I mean, he just turns across and just gets hit. There's an update on Klusterman, by the way. He was in the pits for 18 seconds, but he seems to have gone out. So I'm not sure whether he's had damage, fixed it like a fast repair or something, and then gone round and realised something's wrong and come back in. He might have refueled it to the end, I suppose, but yeah, he just comes across. There's nothing Jackson could have done there, to be fair. He makes a great save as well, but yeah, I wouldn't really expect anything to be done against Chris Jackson there. He just turns across on him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I imagine Cracknell's spots just didn't tell him because there was a tiny overlap, but that was enough. And yeah, that is absolutely massive. These feature races are the big ones that decide the points haul. And yeah, that's absolutely changed the course of this championship with Michael Cracknell losing lots of points right there. It does mean that Erling Burma's still running very well in second position. Jake McKnight is up into third. Lane O'Connor is fourth. Greg Carr is in fifth. Quentin O'Brien. So Chris Jackson, yeah, only in seventh place. He's failed to make the progress that McKnight has been able to. And of course, you wouldn't know this, Chaz, but McKnight, you've probably seen so far today, he's not the fastest driver, but he gets the absolute most out of the car constantly, and that's what scored him so many points this season.
So he's one of those where he's just consistent in his point scoring. He's the Colin Turkington of the Euro V8s, and just gets those in very important points. He's got the job. Just nice. He's just managing it through the season. He's foggy right now, going alongside Anthony Woodward. Just gets ahead of him there down the straight. It's going to be last of the late breakers. It looks like Foggy's lost a lot of straight line speed though. You see Walming there. Woodward, sorry, just edging ahead. Foggy later on the brakes though. Gets the job done, it seems, for now anyway.
Yeah, currently Foggy is 7 seconds behind McKnight. So P2 is still possible right now for Nico Foggy, despite 2 offs and a bit of damage on that car. He pits really early and doesn't have to overtake many cars. He could really be in with a chance of a podium, maybe even second position. So that's what he's got to be thinking. Both O'Brien and Chris Jackson play close to one another. Jackson was making that move. O'Brien's moved just ahead, and here it is. O'Brien just about holding on. Had a fantastic Phillip Island round with the Evolution Racing Team driver, and he's been able to hold off the Canadian driver for now.
Yeah, it's a good scrap between these boys. They both seem very feisty on track. I mean, Chris Jackson's really proved himself to me tonight. He definitely doesn't give up. He's always there, just giving it full pace constantly. He's not scared of sort of putting his nose down the inside as Brian goes off, and there he goes. He's just handed the place to him on a silver platter there. And I'm sure that he's going to go off now in chase of Greg Carr, who's just in front.
Yeah, it's just about picking your way through these drives. And of course, Jackson would quite like to beat Nicole Foggy, I think, at this point. He might even, well, I think a podium is pretty much as good as it's going to get for Chris Jackson. That's certainly very possible for him. I think he's already going for a move actually on Greg Carter. Moving alongside, and Jackson with the bets line on the inside. And he's going to be able to make that move into Canada Corner. And actually, O'Brien goes through as well. Fantastic move there from Britton O'Brien. Just follows through his rival. And yeah, Britton O'Brien up in 6th place now.
Seems like Greg Carr's got something wrong with that car. He was very slow as they were going out of the carousel, and he seemed to be braking quite early into the tight right-hander towards the end there. I'm not sure whether there is an issue or not, but didn't seem to be too confident in the turning on the brakes. You see Foggy now on the back of his train, just having a quick look at the time screen. John Brandon's now 6.7 seconds out in front of Erling Bowman. Doing an absolutely belting job of running away with this one. But it's just all down to this comeback drive now from Foggy, see what he can do. He's currently behind the number 28 car of Gary Croft, so we'll have to see how he disposes of him and whether it sort of gets them pushed back further from the train in front. Oh, red car goes off. Early on the throttle there. Kept it out of the wall, which is absolutely paramount to his performance here, because you don't want to damage the car. Have another quick look at it now. So he's turning in a little bit harder. It's just a little bit early on the throttle. He's done a great job of keeping that out of the wall. Brilliant drive by Greg there. It's difficult to control this car on tarmac, never mind on the grass.
Yeah, absolutely. Just shows how, you know, you wouldn't say he was careless there on the throttle. It wasn't as though he got a poor exit, he lined the car just right and he didn't stand on the throttle. It's just everything's ever so slightly on edge in these cars. Yeah, that was just a little bit too much. Of course, we should keep an eye out on Richard Warming across his recovery drive through the field, because that's crucial for the ARMS Championship, although he is looking very strong in that championship currently. Richard for the XVR racing team having a fantastic season after not making too much of an impact last season. Has already got a couple of podiums this season 5, and he's trying to get the move on Clyde White now.
Yeah, he's just following his club rival there. I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll just be identifying his opportunities, checking where he can get the paces. Just ahead of them there, that's Bogatyrov and Sori having a bit of a battle. As we look at Alex Mass, currently a bit further down the order at the moment. He's 43 seconds behind the car in front of him. He's been into the pits. Oh, there you go. He's popped it around. Looks like Klosterman's still quite far down, although Klosterman's done the fastest lap of the race last time round at 2:09.09. So he's not hanging about. As we look at Chris Jackson now on the attack over Lane O'Connor, down the inside, gets the move done nice and easy. Lane sort of gives it him, knowing it's a long race, just lets him have the opportunity.
Yeah, Lane, I'd say this is probably the best I've seen Lane drive all season. Hasn't had a superb season, but driving superbly well. Here is Richard Warming. So one XVR driver loses a position, another gains one. This time it's on Clyde White. So next up will be Bogatyrov, sorry, and Warming still, yeah, probably could get a top 6 out of this one still. He can pull off a good strategy. Still that battle though between the likes of Jackson, O'Connor, O'Brien, and Foggy, and Guy Croft as well. This is the big one, and it's now up to Foggy to navigate his way through this traffic. We've seen McKnight and Jackson navigate their way through very impressively, and Nicola Foggy with his very good race car. I'm sure he's going to be doing the same here as he goes to the outside of Brenton O'Brien, who made a mistake into this corner, which allowed Chris Jackson to go through a few laps ago. Foggy all the way around the outside. He's going to have the inside for the Castle O'Connor, but Lane O'Connor just getting a bit involved there, and if anything, not really helping out his teammate. O'Connor really slow up there.
Yeah, there's contact there between O'Connor and O'Brien, and that's going to, Foggy just gets missed by Croft. But that's Lane O'Connor into the barriers hard, and that's going to be a write-off, I think, for the rest of this race. That was a really heavy impact there. He only just missed the tyres as well by a couple of car lengths, but it looks like you'll see it there. No, there's quite a bit of netcode there, actually. I don't think the car's properly touched, but that final hit, it put Lane out of the race.
Yeah, he was falling back just before then. And yeah, I don't think there was actually contact there. I don't think Benson would have been quite so clumsy to do that. And there you go, into the wall. And that's a new engine for him. I think, do they get a faster pair? They do get a faster pair in this second race of the evening. They get one in the first race as well. So that won't cost them too much time. But the tow is not too good for him.
Yeah, it's one of the most agonising things on the iRacing service, to wait for your car to get towed back to the pit lane. Sometimes it's actually quicker to drive it back, but in the case of Lane O'Connor there, that wasn't really an option. He's dropped down to 19th now, 20 cars at the start of the race, unfortunately. As we look back at Nicola Foggy currently, he's now got to make the move again on Gary Croft, but these guys are about 7th and 6th place on the track, so it just shows you the progress Foggy's made already from that earlier incident.
Yeah, so it does mean that, yeah, so Jackson's up into 4th. We'll just say a shout out to Erling Bowman. What a good job he's doing. Currently in 2nd position. And he's held back Jamie McKnight for a few laps now. McKnight is closing in a little bit. Only 0.3 of a second though. So Burma, I think in race 1 maybe struggled a little bit on that lap 1. I think he got tagged around. I saw someone apologising to him. So he's really mixed in well with this circuit on his V8 Supercar debut. And of course this only lap 8, certainly a top 5 may be a possibility for him. And he's got excellent pace right now. He's maybe 8/10 of a second. Oh, sorry, I say 8/10 of a second. He's within a half a second of Joey Brandon every lap. So really good form so far from the course for car.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. Not sure what sort of experience he has in the car before this, but he's obviously driven it before. I mean, someone that driving as well as he is right now doesn't just jump in this thing and do that. Trust me, it'll probably take months to get used to it, because like we were saying in race 1, I don't know how these would make it look so easy, because these things are pigs to drive. I'm not going to lie to you, but if obviously you get the right setup and driving style, then people like Nico Foggy, as you can see right now, just drive it like they know it like the back of their hands.
Yeah, absolutely. In these past few corners, Burma has just dropped back a little bit to McKnight. That gap down to under a second, actually, as I say that. Down to under 8/10 of a second, under 7/10 of a second. It's going to be under 6/10 of a second very, very soon. And certainly lining up a move maybe for turn 5, I think, is Jimmy McKnight. Doesn't want to lose too much time. He's 6 seconds ahead of Chris Jackson after that little bit of a tap from Jackson earlier on, that collision with Michael Cracknell. And McKnight, he's got plenty of podiums so far this season. I'm not sure if he's even qualified in the top 4 so far this season, but after this race, he's looking like he's going to be about second in the championship. As we see Greg Carr, is he defending against, not sure who, I think he was defending against Samuel Boozen there, as Guy Croft, just ahead of Nico Foggy. So Foggy's got the move done on Vincent O'Brien. Croft should be quite simple, and that was simple, because Croft was all over the place and so nearly collected the New Zealand driver.
Yeah, that was very sketchy for him then. I think O'Brien would have been just holding his breath and closing his eyes and keeping his foot planted there. I think I would have been doing the same, but luckily they all got through with it. As we look now at McKnight, looking back from Bowman's car, Bowman's probably just going to be thinking at this point that you've got to be realistic about this and know that McKnight's up there in the championship. You've just got to, if he goes for a move, just let him have it. Just try and follow him after that. Use him to your advantage. You've got a long gap back to the cars behind. It's 6 seconds back to Chris Jackson and Jamie McKnight, sorry. So you just got to play the long game in this one, and I think Bowman's going to be wise enough to do that. It seems like he's got a very level head in terms of his driving approach. It seems there's nothing really extravagant about his driving. He's just quick. He's just managing how he does it very well.
Yeah, of course, going for Team Vikings, it seems, from the livery that I see at least. And I certainly know Team Vikings, at least from what I've experienced, are usually very good drivers, very clean drivers. So hopefully, this would be a massive curse if he now takes out one of the championship leaders, wouldn't it? But yeah, he hopefully will not put up too much of a fight. 9 seconds behind Johnny Brandon, of course. And McKnight isn't going to be able to close down that gap. Let's see what their exit from the final corner is. Slightly earlier on the brakes was Jimmy McKnight, and I think he's got a slightly better exit as well. It's 0.3 of a second as they go up the hill. And will Bowman defend whatsoever? McKnight closing in the slipstream. We look to the inside, going into turn 1. It's not the easiest corner to make the moves into. McKnight is down the inside, but still round the outside there is Erling. McKnight wasn't quite late enough on the brakes, but maybe into turn 3 he will be. Down the hill once again, another difficult braking zone. He's not quite confident enough to do it, but if turn 1 and turn 3 weren't a great chance, turn 5 will probably be the easiest way to do it. But has he just compromised his exit there by going for those couple of moves? It doesn't look like he's going to be in range unless he goes for a very risky move, which Jamie will not be interested in whatsoever. And I think he may just pulled the trigger a little bit too early there, Chaz. Could have maybe stayed behind for a couple more corners and make that move into 5 a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely, you're right on that one, because, I mean, you've got the slipstream into turn 1, but he was still a little bit far back. I mean, I know he got alongside in the end, but it would have had to be quite an out-braking manoeuvre to get that done. And I think Bowman, really, I mean, if you look at his driving at the moment, he's just like he's an AI. He's not sort of going defensive. He's not worrying about it. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just driving it like an AI would that just completely ignores it. He's just driving the track how he wants to drive it, and he's making McKnight do all the work. And to be fair, it's a very effective way of defending your position by just driving it. You've got to make the other guy make the move. At the end of the day, you've just got to do your line. And if you've got to make the other guy do something that would compromise his speed, then you're doing a good job of it.
Yeah, good comparison with AI, because if that was AI, you would not, you would not, or sorry, if you were told that was AI, you would not even second think it, because he is driving extremely consistently, is Erling. And McKnight isn't really doing the same, and you can see how he's dropped off a little bit now. He's now 7/10 of a second behind. He's got absolutely nailed these next couple of corners. On that last lap, Chris Jackson was slightly faster. Nico Foggy, of course, up into 5th place now. Could be fascinating, that battle, but yeah, he can't afford to stay behind for too much longer because he's got a couple of very, very fast drivers behind him as he actually comes into the pits, which does Jamie McKnight. Doesn't fancy any more of that, and so too will Chris Jackson.
Yeah, it seems that he's just got to just keep it going. I mean, McKnight now obviously is going to try and just get a bit of track position. I think stop. Just get the power out to it because he doesn't want to lose the time. Does start holding up. A couple of guys in the pits right now. They're looking at the time screen. We've got McKnight, Jackson, Foggy's in as well. As we see Greg Card going down the flying down the straight there. These cars are doing 168 mile an hour. Greg Card was doing there into the braking zone. That's a hell of a speed. I mean, you probably see GT cars will get up to about 150 down there, not even that. And it's just puts into prospect how much power these guys are handling when they put the foot down out of a corner. It's an absolute art to control it.
Yeah, absolutely, and the brakes in these cars, yeah, don't do a whole lot. So yeah, when you're going that speed into a corner like turn 1, must be very, very scary. Jamie McKnight, yeah, comes out of the pits ahead of Chris Jackson Kushui. That's what I expected, about 6 seconds. And in the pits, he was half a second longer than Chris Jackson. So he was 1 second shorter than Chris Jackson. Nico Foggy also out. And yeah, they've all got similar pit stop times, 18 and 19 seconds. So that's what we will be looking for later on. Not too far ahead of Michael Cracknell. I imagine Cracknell's going to have to pit again, but if he's not, then that could be quite interesting as well. And now it's just a question, Chaz, of how long do these guys go? If you were Woodward, Craft or Car, considering that you're battling against each other, would you consider pitting a little bit earlier than maybe you expected?
If I was Woodward, well, it depends on where you are in the battle, in my opinion. If you were Woodward, you'd just keep it going until one of them started to get close, and then when you felt like you had to start defending and compromising your lap times, that's when you come in. You don't want to lose any time when you're on track. You want to lose all of the time that you're going to lose when you're in the pits. So if you're Woodward, you'd just wait until they started forcing you to go defensive. Gary Croft, I'd probably say the same. But with Greg Carr, it depends. I'd give it a lap of trying to overtake the guy in front, and then obviously if he does start holding you up too much, then that's when you dive in, because like I just said, you don't want to lose all that time on track. As we see Erling Bowman, then the star of the race for me so far, Erling is pulling it in and getting on with it, getting the pit stop done, and hopefully he'll have some nice reputation.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely crucial. Where is Erling in comparison to McKnight? He should almost certainly be ahead of Jackson, as long as he doesn't mess up the pit stop. I saw he was quite a little bit under the pit lane speed limit on entry, and he has just become stationary there. So yeah, crucial for McKnight, who has had a clean lap. He's 10 seconds. He's got a 10-second gap ahead of him to PT Taranto. And Boma, I think, will be coming out of the pits relatively soon, just approaching, exiting his pit box. 18, 19. It's a longer pit stop. 20 seconds, 21 seconds, 22 seconds. Oh, this is a little bit worrying here for Erling Burma, and he is now out of the pit, so it wasn't a speeding penalty, but it has lost him a position to Chris Jackson. He's ahead of Nicole Foggy still, but what on earth happened there, Chaz?
I think that might be down to an experience of the series, knowing what sort of times you have to go for in the pits and how much fuel or tyres. I'm not quite sure how much they take on when they do pit, but that'll just be down to him not knowing how much he'll need to take, I think. With more rounds in the series, and obviously that experience will come with it. But at the end of the day, though, on the track, if you look at it, he's still going to be 4th in the race, so he's going to be very happy with that result. He just needs to watch what Anthony Woodward's going to do now, because he's the next club driver as it stands. So if Erling can get a club win on his debut, then that'll be an absolutely immense result for him. I'm sure he'll be happy to come away with that.
Yeah, so he should still be in a good position for that, but I don't think Anthony Woodward is nearly as fast as him. So a little bit wide behind was Gary Croft, and yeah, we wait to see if any of these drivers will come to the pits. Of course, it's a long pit lane down here, and I swear it's probably the longest pit lane like in the world, apart from maybe Indianapolis. Even then, I think this must rival it. So yeah, these drivers lose a lot of time, and that kind of means that they're not tripping over one another when they come back out of the pit. Nicole Foggy will not want to be tripping over Erling Burma, because he will still feel as though he's got a chance at catching up to Chris Jackson later on. And judging from what we've seen of Erling so far, you don't think he's going to battle too hard with the XVR driver, do you, Chaz?
No, I think he's going to play it wide, like he was doing before. But I mean, we're going to see this probably this AI-like approach again, as I was saying before. He's just not going defensive. Look, he's a little bit towards the inside compared to normal, but I don't think the pressure's going to get to him that much. Nichol's a very, very quick driver, as we all know. So I think he's going to maybe make an easy job of it. He's getting insanely close there as we go through the left-hander into the final corner then. Erling's just driving his line, maybe a little bit tighter on the entry to the corner, but he is just driving it as if Nichol's not there, and I think that's a really, really mature approach to how to race these things. Nicol obviously helped out by the slipstream there as we look at Greg Carr, who's just about to come out the pit lane.
Yeah, a lot of drivers into the pits on that last lap. I think Johnny Brandon's also... No, Johnny Brandon's still out there.
Still in front though is Boma. Nicol was on the inside on the brakes, but he just didn't have it. Just a bit worried if I was Nicol now. He'd be getting that close on the brakes, but he knows what he's doing. I don't, so I'll stop thinking. I'm going to tell him what to do as he gets alongside down the straight then towards turn 5.
This isn't going to be an easy one for him, and you don't really want a driver on your inside going into turn 5, because if they mess up your green zone, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Around the outside there goes Nicol Foggy, and this might just be good enough. He should get a better exit. There's no contact between the two of them. Erling leaves him plenty of space, and he hasn't quite got the run out of turn 6. Turn 5, going into turn 6 to repel the attack, and Nicol Foggy is up into 7th position, which will turn into 4th once all the pit stops are completed.
Yeah, that was a beautiful move. That really, really textbook stuff from Nicol Foggy. Just put it on the outside, and it forced Erling to compromise his speed through the corner. As we see race leader Johnny Brandon there. Not seeing much of him on screen, but at the moment his lead is 25.5 seconds. So you've got to think that Johnny's going to keep this, as we see Jimmy McKnight then giving it big sideways motion through the kink, kicking up a bit of grass for style points on the way through as well. And Jamie's just going to be keeping his foot planted. He's just going to be giving it everything he's got just to gain those bits of time, because in races like this you never know what your rivals are going to be doing when they're pitting and you're not, as Warmingham comes in the pits as well then. Warmingham's going to be an interesting one as well in terms of Erling Boma, but I think Erling is going to be alright, to be honest. He's got, it was 41 seconds from the race lead. Warmingham was 20, so I think that Erling's going to be alright here when it comes to one.
Yeah, that could be a battle later on, but I think for now Erling should be okay. Johnny Brandon's back out of the pit, so he's clear of Jamie McKnight as we expected. Gap has come down significantly, actually. It was close to 10 seconds at one point. It's down to 5 seconds. But Brandon will have fresher tyres now to the end of the race, so at least we'll be able to maintain that gap, considering how fast Johnny was in the first race and how fast he's been in the second race as well. But McKnight just there or thereabouts, and yeah, you can just see him in the background there. Maybe he'll just be in Brandon's wing mirrors a little bit, and we'll try to keep that pressure on till the end of the race.
Got Brendan O'Brien leading the race at the moment, then obviously provisionally, of course, himself and Gary Crawford, the only driver not to pit so far. Just having a quick look down the timing screen to see what we're looking at pit stop wise. It tends to be 18.5 seconds is the time to beat at the moment, and that was done by Jamie McKnight himself, so the quickest pit stop of the race so far. Just wondering as well, actually, Sam, if you could tell me on the timing screen what PL means, because I'm trying to figure out that one over the course of the race meeting, and it's the only thing on this timing screen I don't know about, to be fair. Okay, right, that makes more sense. And yeah, because I thought that was a count at first, and then it said 3 as soon as someone pitted, and I was like, right, that's not correct, so I'll give up on that. Moving quickly on then, before I make myself look stupid. Erling Bowman's now down to 7th place, but again, this is all provisional now. That'll be 5th place once everyone has pitted. Michael Cracknell is the next car behind him, but he's 5.25 seconds behind, so a nice gap there, and he may be able to hold on to that to the end if he keeps the pace up. He's got Nicol Foggy ahead of him for reference, so that might help out. There's a nice little scrap going on here actually between who's that? That's Boozin, triple 4 car Alex
Mass. And into the wall again. Richard Warmium goes through the pair of them. Alex Mass into the wall there, as I say for the 3rd time, and yeah, all kinds of issues.
Yeah, I just took a little second away to look and identify who it was from my timing screen, and that was that. We look again then. Boozin down the inside. Oh, it just that one little wobble on the exit from Mass is what sets off a massive incident. Buzin was quite lucky that the car was still facing the right way when it came out, but I can't imagine it'll be driving in a straight line. As Cracknell comes into the pits.
Yeah, this will be his second pit stop of the race. Michael Cracknell after that big impact earlier on, and it's just about damage limitation. Where could he finish? Cracknell, he's going to be so far behind after this pit stop, isn't he? Yeah, oh dear, this is going to be difficult for Michael Cracknell. He might still be able to get, maybe a top 14 or something. I'm really not sure, because you can see how far behind he is from the rest of the field. Long old day for Michael Cracknell, unfortunately. And he's already behind Tony Klusman. We haven't talked about too much. I think Klusman should get to the end of the race. He pitted on lap 13, actually, so relatively recently. He is ahead of Cracknell now. And those two will just try to be picking up as many positions as possible.
Yeah, they're just, like you were saying, damage limitation, so they've just got to keep it going. And it's one of them where you can't give up in these races. When it's a longer race, anything can happen to you at the beginning, and you just don't want to be sort of letting off. You want to just go for it, go for it, go for it all the way through. There's no reason that you should just park it up and just think, oh, that's my day. But anything could happen to one of your championship rivals. When you're playing the points game, it's anyone's race and it's anyone's championship if you do the right thing.
So O'Brien coming under pressure there from, what's that, Klusman, I think, just going through there. So that was a lap car trying to get past a leading car. That was, so O'Brien into the pit, so Croft now leads, going very far. We were talking about, I was given advice from Tony Klusman, apparently 16 laps is as far as the first stint will go. And this is lap 16, so Gary Croft, yeah, nearly there. Will almost certainly be coming in on this lap. He will be lightning fast at the end of this race, just with his fresh tyres, but he's going to have plenty of work to do, I think, once he comes out of the pits.
Yeah, he's going to be on fresher rubber when it comes to the end, though, so he may have a little bit more pace on his rivals, but it depends on where he comes out, obviously how long he's got to get the job done. He's leaving himself little time, but with more pace, so whether that'll balance out for the better for him, we'll have to see as we see Brenton O'Brien coming out of the pits. Then he's come out in 7th ahead of Greg Carr. He's got a nice 5-second gap over Greg across the line, so should be absolutely fine to stay there for the rest of the race, unless obviously he makes a mistake, but let's not say that to him directly. I'm sure he won't need the added pressure. But you have got to think how long Gary Croft will last out there. You've got to be sure he'll bring it in this lap. He's gained 13 places so far, obviously a lot of that help out of the pits, but he does have 15 seconds on Johnny Brandon. So he might end up actually working this quite well here to his advantage in the top few. Just have to see, because another pit stops are 18 seconds, but there are big gaps behind them. I reckon you might even end up ahead of Nick Foggy again. That'll be my guess anyway, but I'm not sure how long they'll be in the pit lane for, so we'll have to see.
I think it's such a long pit lane that they lose a lot of time. But from pit lane entry to pit lane exit, it's a minute. And I think you can, how long does that pit straight usually take? What, 15 seconds at most, I think? So it's probably about 45 seconds lost in the pit lane. So he should come out between Brenton O'Brien and Greg Carr. He was just behind O'Brien when O'Brien came into the pit. So that should be where he remains, I think. 45 seconds, I think he should lose. Guy Croft is coming into the pit. And yes, he is the last driver to come into the pit. And here he comes. We'll get stopped on the marks. Speed, of course, in the pits. And Johnny Brandon will take back that lead. Getting very interesting behind Brandon, though. Joey McKnight is currently in 2nd position, or will take 2nd position. Chris Jackson in 3rd. 2.6 seconds between the two of them. At one point, it was over 5 seconds. And on that last lap, Jackson was slightly faster. We'll see what the times are this time. McKnight will come to the line now, and he'll do a 2-minute 10.56, a poor lap time there from Joe McKnight, with Chris Jackson a 2-minute 9.67, so 9/10 of a second faster for Chris Jackson, and this battle for P2 is very much alive.
Yeah, definitely. We were saying earlier that Chris Jackson is one that, even in the 1.5 races that I've watched him so far, he doesn't seem like a guy to give up, and he's always putting his foot in, and yeah, he'll be looking in the back of that every racing car thinking, I'm going to have you, so I'm pretty sure if he keeps his head on, I'm sure he'll get there, to be fair.
Guy Croft just coming out to the pits now, and he's down in 11th position. So I think did I get that one right? I'm not sure. I don't even know where I said he was going to finish. No, I thought he was going to be behind O'Brien, but that was completely wrong. I don't know why I even said that. He's behind Richard Warmingham. 8 seconds behind Warmingham. I was just wrong, to be fair.
Oh, you got it all right than I did. Don't you worry about that, mate.
And so, yeah, he's that's pretty much going to be a bit of a dull race now for Guy Croft to the end of this race. He's ahead of Dominic Sori, although he is going to have a fantastic pace. So let's see if he can make an impact on the drivers ahead. Michael Cracknell up into 15th position, by the way. He's got 10 seconds to catch up to Clyde Whiting, though. On that last lap, he was 1.5 seconds faster. So he's got maybe a chance. Yeah, he should be able to get Whiting. Then Taranto is right there, and Sori might be possible. So 12th position would be an awesome effort for Michael Cracknell. He's got to absolutely nail these past few laps. Tony Klusman's in no man's land. He's nearly half a minute behind the next driver, Samuel Buzin. In fact, Buzin's just had an issue. No, Klusman's still in 18th place, and yeah, he's got a long way to catch. I think he's going to finish in 18th place.
Yeah, it's a shame for him, really, after such a competitive first race, and obviously he was having a great scrap with the XVR boys at the front. As we look at Anthony Woodward right now on the attack, then he's passed Greg Carr down the inside, still side by side on the exit. Greg's obviously going to run it out wide, and it's going to be interesting to see whether he can come back at him in these final few corners. But the gaps really opened up there. Not sure what Woodward's got in that car, or what he doesn't have in that car that Greg's got in his, but he's away. As we look at Chris Jackson now, the gap to the car in front is 1.5 seconds. He's coming down. Just have to see whether he can keep it up. He's got a good couple of laps left. It's 24-lap race as far as I remember, so he's got another 6 after this. And I think that's plenty of time for Chris, to be fair, so it's going to be an interesting one as it gets towards the end, don't you think?
Yeah, it certainly looks like it's going to catch him, doesn't it? It's whether or not he can make the movement. We've seen so far, I'd say in terms of overtaking, rewards the brave. I'd say you got to be fully committed. We've even seen, Jamie McKnight and Nicole Foggy making their moves on Erling Boma, where they were just really seemingly desperate not to make contacts, of course. And that almost cost them a little bit of time because, yeah, they were just a little bit too tentative whilst going for those moves. Foggy, by the way, I don't really know what's going on with him. He's quite far off the pace. He's 11 seconds behind Chris Jackson now. And so, yeah, he's not really going to be able to fight with him in the closing stages. As we can't expect, he was already quite a bit behind. And he's only just ahead of Erling Boma with Brenton O'Brien, still with very good pace in 6th position.
Oh, we just look at Alex Mack as well, getting it all wrong out of the kink. He's kept that out of a wall somehow for now, and oh, it just makes contact at the end. That was a hell of a moment. That was an accident that lasted for about 15 seconds, but he's still going. It wasn't a massive impact on the rear end, so he should be all right. But just going back to Nicole Foggy, what you were saying then, I believe it may be the damage that's hurting him a bit, because in terms of his lap times, he was 0.7 of a second slower than Chris Jackson last time. So he's definitely been hurt by the damage, but Chris is on it as well, so it might be a bit of both. The gap is now down to just under a second as they come onto the straight. So stuff the idea of 6 laps being long enough. Give it another 1 or 2. I think Chris will be with him, but in the words of Murray Walker, catching someone is one thing and overtaking is quite another, and we're going to see that here.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to line it up. He's going to be too far behind into turn 5. Although, actually, if McKnight has more exits like that, it might be a little bit sooner. Although he didn't really lose too much time, to be fair.
Yeah, maybe lost 1 or 2 tenths, didn't he?
Yeah, still 0.8 of a second though, the gap. You just wonder if Jackson really could have won either of these races. But of course, starting a long way behind Johnny Brandon for this second race. It's absolutely superb pace. And how he hasn't won more races in this series is quite beyond me, Chris Jackson. Only 2 race victories in the past 2 seasons in this championship, despite consistently being in the top 5 fastest drivers. Today, you'd probably say he's been in the top 2 fastest drivers, by him and maybe Johnny Brandon have been the absolute fastest drivers out there. But can he recover a second position? A second and third would be a fantastic points haul, which would, I think, make him the highest scorer in this round, bring him back within championship contention.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just standings actually. He was 6th. So he's done a really good job so far. I was just taking a quick look down there. Just been informed as well by Marco that Nicole actually didn't use his fast repair when he came into the pits. So obviously the car's still damaged, and even though he's done his pit stop now, he's missed his chances. McKnight gets it all wrong. He's just really opened the door now to Chris Jackson. Chris is going to be seeing that he's struggling on the attack. Chris gets it all wobbly on the exit as well. This is going to be a hell of a fight between these boys. Neither of them want to give up. I think McKnight's going to know at this point that Chris is a bit quicker than him. In terms of when they pitted though, they pitted on the same lap, so it's not like Chris has got newer rubber on or anything. It'll be interesting to see how he manages it when he tries to go for the move rather than just outright pace. Do you think he'll get it done easily?
It's not going to be easy. You can see that from Jamie McKnight. He's right to the inside of this circuit. It's not a wide circuit, this Road America track. And for now, Jamie McKnight will hang on to it. But his championship bid, remember, has been built on consistent finishes, not getting involved in many collisions. In fact, I haven't seen him get involved in a single collision this season. I don't think he's even finished outside the top 6 in any races. He's been absolutely consistent as anyone. But of course, we saw a mistake from Michael Cracknell earlier on involving Chris Jackson, of course. Will we see the same this time, running into turn 5? Going defensive again is McKnight, and there is not a car's width on the inside. Jackson looks to the outside. There's almost a bit of contact between the two of them. Can he get a good run into six? No, he cannot. And it seems like for half a lap longer, Jamie McKnight is going to stay in second place.
Yeah, he's doing a great job then of defending it so far. But the thing is with these cars, because of how easy it is in terms of the threshold of putting the foot down just right and then overdoing it, as we saw earlier, it's really easy to do. So in the excitement of obviously trying to make a move, you could just stamp on the brakes that extra bit too hard, put the throttle down an extra bit too hard on the exit, and it'll just ruin your race. I mean, tiny mistakes like that are what take people off the track, and we've seen it multiple times. So they'll be hoping that neither of them go through the same thing here. McKnight pulls a bit of a distance on Chris at this point. Just got to be thinking whether Chris is going to be bottling it or not, but I'd hope not, because we want to see this fight right to the end, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. This would be a fantastic battle. Of course, we saw a fantastic battle for second position at Spa not 4 weeks ago, I think, in the Enduro race involving Nicole Foggy and Michael Cracknell. And we're seeing a very similar battle here. 2 more championship contenders. And McKnight, yeah, just cannot afford an instant. Jackson can't afford to lose 10 more points in the championship battle, as he's all over the place, Jackson. Certainly, it seems for this lap, he's not going to be in range. It's 8/10 of a second, and only now does he get a bit of an overspeed. As we ride on board with him, he'll get a bit of a slipstream from this far back. Closing, gets about a 10th down this straight closer. But he's going to have to go for lap 22, I think, because that slide, Jazz, has cost him too much time.
Yeah, definitely. He can't lose 10 points off the championship, but he's lost about 10 mil of tread off the rear tyres doing that. He's still hit 169 mile an hour up the straight though, so you can see that the slipstream is in effect. He's visually caught Jamie McKnight quite a bit here though. Gap down to half a second now. So it'd be good to, I think he's just got to manage this lap and just use the slipstream to his advantage. Maybe try it into turn 1 on lap 22 as you said, but I'm not sure whether he'll get the gap closed quickly enough there. He's just got to be really good on the brakes here. And he does get it turned in really nicely. McKnight's flipping a bit of the inside, wobbling it around. He just seems to be driving it a little bit smoother at the moment. In race 1, I would have said he was a bit more of a sort of slide it out the corner and just see what happens kind of guy, but in this one he seems to be showing Jamie McKnight how it's done to drive the thing smoothly.
Car just ahead of, hopefully not get involved too much in that. That was Alex Mass just going off the second. Hopefully Mass will let these guys pass nice and quickly, because yeah, we don't really need any more factors into this battle. It's already a fantastic fight, and Alex Mass there showing good maturity just to let these guys past. 4/10 of a second going into the kink. Candid Corner hasn't been an overtaking spot for many drivers so far in this race, and it's not going to be an overtaking spot once again. Is it going to be a case of just lining up for turn 5, Chaz, or does Jackson have to go for the move wherever there's a half chance?
I'd say with a couple of laps to go, I'd say he'd sort of savour the moment for it. I'd definitely wait if I was Chris right now, but it's it's one of those. I mean, obviously every drive is different, but I think turn 5 will be the one. He'll get the gap closed here, put a bit of pressure on Jamie, but don't know whether he'll get the right enough exit. They both did pretty well there. It seems like Chris might have just done a little bit of a better job. But look at the just gradually creeping under 0.3 of a second now. Going down to nearly 2. I mean, Jamie himself's doing nearly 170 mile an hour. You know, Chris isn't close enough to make the move, so he's just going to put the pressure on. You saw him just dive out a little bit to say, look, I'm here, mate. I'm getting closer and closer to you. He's going to probably do the same again. Jamie does go defensive. I think Chris is going to play the long game now, and this is where he needs to get it right. He needs to get a good exit. Yeah, it doesn't get much of a wobble, so I think the slipstream is going to help him. He's not even 3/10 back as they go onto the straight here, so I think he's going to get this done as the gap just comes down now under 2/10. Which way is he going to go? McKnight's got to go to the inside. He has a little bit of a faint thinking about it. Chris might try and get a cutback into the next corner. He's got a good run. It'll be interesting to see whether he tries anything on his infield section though, because this is the hardest part of the track to make a move on, in my opinion. It's a little bit tighter, there's too much grass either side, and because of the racing lines you take through, there is a big risk of clipping that grass as well.
I was surprised actually that Jackson couldn't get fully alongside into turn 5. Oh, he's very deep on the brakes there, Jackson, and he could lose the car, and he may have just lost second position there because he's dropped about 1.7 seconds behind Jamie McKnight. And Chris Jackson, that was just a clumsy mistake there, wasn't it? Just misjudging his braking point, and very nearly ran into his rival. Maybe that was the better option, but yeah, just a lapse of concentration seemingly, Chaz.
Yeah, definitely, like I was saying before, probably in the heat of the moment, the excitement of trying to make a move, he has just stood on the brakes that little bit too hard. He's locked the rears and come around. Did a great job of saving it, because as we know, these things aren't the greatest handling cars in the world, but it's a real shame to see him drop back. I mean, he's got 2 more laps to go after this one. I'm sure he'll close the gap, but I don't really think he'll get the move done now.
Katie Taranto, I think, is recently lost out to Clyde Whiting. I'm not quite sure. I thought those two were swapped the other way, but I don't think they are. Whiting actually got 8 positions from his start. Michael Cracknell is going to get involved in this battle by the end. I was talking earlier, I could maybe get a top 12 out of this with the retirement of, I think it must have been Alex Mass or no, Greg Carr had an issue, didn't he? So Greg Carr dropped down, and yeah, so that's promoted Cracknell up 1 position. A top 11 is looking possible. He's 3 seconds behind these guys on that last lap. He was a second and a bit faster than Dominic Sori, who is not too far up the road, and Sori actually just having a bit of a slide. We could have a fantastic 4-way battle for these remaining positions by the end of this race, Chaz.
Yeah, definitely. Katie's going to be putting the pressure on these guys in front, but now Sori's been dragged back a bit into it, as we've got a bit of a connection issue there for Whiting. Seems to be alright now, maybe just the odd blink. He's onto the back of Dominic now, so he should be getting a decent slipstream down the straight. You'll see the overspeed now. Let's keep our eyes on the speed he gets. 55, 160. Is he going to hit with that magic 170? He does. It just flicked up on the screen there that he got 170. We got Sori down the inside, still keeping his nose in, but great move by Clyde around the outside there. As he comes back on though, he ran wide, and Sori's got the place back. Casey's going to be rubbing her hands together here, thinking, "Come on, just take each other out, boys. I'll get on with it if you're all right with that." But the club driver there of Clyde Whiting definitely showing his worth in this on this occasion.
Yeah, I'll say that was a good effort around the outside. But just coming back onto the circuit was a little bit not quite there, and that was very nearly there into the wall for Clyde Whiting. He's going to go around the outside once again. Will he be willing to just go off the circuit? A bit of tarmac there, and we could have side-by-side through the next few contests. This is a great racing you can get round Road America. The outside turns into the inside, and Casey Taranto has gone into the back of Clyde Whiting there. And where's Cracknell? As he made contact, I think he just about missed him there, did Michael Cracknell. That could have been disaster. Number 2 for him. Don't know if we could just get an onboard, there we go, of Michael Cracknell's view of this one, because Clyde Whiting, I think, rolled across the circuit, did not hold the brakes, and Cracknell did superbly well to avoid that.
I think the system managed to calculate that he made contact because it damaged his car slightly, but and it probably flung Whiting around, but I think Cracknell got lucky there because it didn't do anything major to him. As we look now at the man of the moment, Johnny Brandon, his fortunes have definitely changed tonight. He had a great race, Warren Simmons and Tony Kloosterman. And now because of that, oh, as Whiting's off, he's obviously damaged the car and put it in the wall. It's a real shame right at the end of the race there. As we look back, oh, it's crabbing quite a lot, isn't it? That must have been as a result of the secondary contact. Yeah, it's going to go around on him, isn't it? And then flip the other way. Yeah, it just doesn't want to turn right. And he's, yeah, I think out of frustration there, he's put it in the wall. I think all of us would do the same. So really unfortunate for Clyde. But as I was saying, Johnny Brandon then after that incident, great for him to get the reverse pole. He's fortunate to change in, and he's just done a beautiful textbook job of managing this one, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And how important were those gaining positions at the end of the first race, of course, because if it weren't for that, of course, he would have been in a bit of a rubbish position for this second race of the evening. But instead, he's starting on pole position, and I said earlier on how he needed a lights to flag victory to take back the lead of the championship after losing it for pretty much the first time this entire season. After race 1, he's going to take it back at the end of this race. Of course, James McKnight holding on against Chris Jackson currently. Michael Cracknell just having a bit of an issue, by the way, behind. But let's pay our attentions to Johnny Brandon. I think this would be his 4th race victory of the season. I think this would be his first feature race victory as well. He's had a few issues in recent weeks, has Johnny Brandon, after his horrendous Phillip Island round. He's going round the final corner here at Road America. He's going to approach the line. He's going to approach 300 points in the championship and the championship lead. Johnny Brandon takes the race victory here at Road America. And what an important race victory that could turn out to be. Jamie McKnight should hang on to second place. Another superb recovery drive from him, or a maximum points drive from Jamie McKnight. With Nicole Foggy, he'll lose the championship, or that's championship second place, but it's still been a very positive day for him. Erling Bomer, what a performance from him. I imagine, Chaz, he's still your driver of the day. A fantastic debut performance.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, as it's his debut, he's done an amazing job. Really, really glad to see that he's done so well. Obviously, Johnny Brandon just untouched in this second race, and he was doing so well fighting earlier. He's probably, in terms of the overall performance, done an amazing job. But considering the circumstances, what a drive! To see Cracknell now really putting the pressure onto Sori as they come into the last few corners. He's going to be desperate for any point he can get. To see what sort of exit he gets. Do you reckon he'll do it?
I don't think he's going to have enough time to bet Michael Cracknell. One more corner would have been enough for him, but he's still going to finish in 12th place, which isn't a bad effort whatsoever after a mistake, really, you got to say, coming across Chris Jackson earlier on, and his first mistake of the season, really, his first big issue, and he's lost a lot of points in the championship battle. Greg Carr, rounding back the final point, he had a couple of issues, so too did Samuel Buzan. Tony Kliesman's not going to finish too far behind, but of course in the championship, Kliesman really needed this one, and this was just one too many errors, I think, for him. And if he's going to win the championship with so many competitive drivers ahead of him, after that pole position earlier on, Chaz, it's really gone south for him.
Yeah, it's a shame to see it for Tony, because we all know he's such a great racer. He's very, very quick, but I'm sure that he'll bounce back strong. He's not going to be one to give up. I mean, you can't at this stage of the season. He's just got to get on with it. And I'm sure if he does do anything, it's going to be a spectacular comeback from him.
Yeah, absolutely. But in this race, it's Johnny Brandon taking away the race victory by 9 seconds over Jamie McKnight. How important was that? The defense in those final few laps for McKnight. He holds on against Chris Jackson in 3rd. Nicole Foggy finishes in 4th. Good recovery drive from him after a couple of offs early on. Erling Burma, what a fantastic debut performance from him in 5th. Brenton O'Brien, another good points haul for him in 6th, with Anthony Woodward top of the AM drivers in 7th, just ahead of his AM championship rival, Richard Warmingham in 8th. Then it's Nikolai Bogotayev finishes in 9th, Gary Croft in 10th. And that was Dominic Sori. Michael Cracknell covers to 12th, K2 Race to Evento in 13th. Greg Carr, Samuel Buzan, Tony Klisterman, Alex Mass, 1 lap down, and Clyde Whiting 2 laps down. Lane O'Connor 17 laps down, and Maciej Kuziak in a 20th position, 20 laps down on the race winner. And we've got a couple of drivers, Chris Jackson and Jamie. Now, of course, we'll get an interview with both of them. But first, who are we going to go for? We will go for Jamie McKnight, I think, for his great performance in that second race. And Jamie, it's been the story of your season, really, that you've always maximised your points haul, and a second and a fifth today. That was pretty much what you've been doing all season. Are you there, Jamie?
I've just had a message, sorry, from Chris saying Jamie's away from his keyboard for a sec. He's just away,
Okay.
so we can
We'll
swap
come
him.
back to Jamie in a second.
Yeah.
But first off, Chris Jackson then, and Chris, well done out there. 2 third places. Good points all.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. Tough track, tough conditions. The first one too.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Tony was having a chat with me earlier on how the car has changed so significantly. How have you kind of reacted to that? And are you still feeling as though you're learning how to kind of re-drive this car?
It's definitely different, but it feels a bit more like a GT3 car, I feel. Tony and I have been working hard on sets, and Victor and our whole team, the UK division as well. So we're starting to find sets, I think, that worked for us. Ant had a great result in the last race too, so I think the time and effort we're putting into those sets is paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of the second race weekend in a row where you've had fantastic pace. Certainly an upwards trajectory after a bit of a difficult start to the season.
Yeah, I think I've started to turn it around, had a bit more time for practice, and I do think the new update is suiting my style. So anytime I can pull a gap on some of the top drivers or catch up to them, I'm feeling pretty good. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Next round will be, as I look on the website, Summit Points for the Super Sprints. That's going to be interesting, let's say.
They're definitely interesting. We all think that it's going to be a bit of a wreck fest, but I think the last super sprints that we've done have been pretty clean. So it's been impressive driving from everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just a word on the Summit Point circuit. It's going to be narrow. You're barely going to get full throttle, I think, around that circuit. There's not too many straights. Yeah, going to be tight, twisty. Opportunity for a surprise victory, you think?
Possibly, depending what the dial says for the roll reversal or the grid reversal. So I think that'll be the only way. I don't think I'll have the outright pace there, but you never know.
Yeah, I think you're going to be right in the mix anyway on pure pace anyway. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Always my family, Simability, our team, Never Quit Racing, America and UK. Cheers, and for you guys.
Thanks, Chris, and yeah, we'll see you in a fortnight's time.
Take care,
May I
guys.
just say as well quickly, Chris, before you go, it's been very entertaining to watch you guys tonight, especially yourself with your driving style's been very flamboyant. I've really enjoyed seeing the pace as well, chasing it. It's my first time commentating on this, so yeah, for me myself personally, it's been great to watch you, mate. Really well done on your results.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Now, we're going to try Jamie McKnight again. Well, we'll see. Jamie, are you there?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks. Out there today, really good performances. 5th and a 2nd. I was saying earlier how you kind of just maximised your points haul every weekend, and you've done the same today.
Well, as you know, I'm not the fastest, so I've got to be the smartest. And I just want to point out to Marco, who I know is a big Johnny Brandon friend, that it was the Ford 1-2 today. So how'd you like that, Marco? It's a good result.
He will be
absolutely,
delighted with that.
absolutely. No, I have to chip in for this. I was absolutely delighted, and good job from the Ford boys. Sadly, I wasn't in the commentary booth to get all excited about it, but I made sure to show on the scoring column the 2 Fords on top as much as I could.
Yes, well, Johnny and I planned that before the race. We said we've got to get a 1-2 for Marco. But yeah, look, I drove nice and consistent today, Sam. I was happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just remember, of course, Marco did do the reverse grid, which put Johnny on pole position. So, I'm not...
I did point that out, and I wondered what Johnny spotted him for that one. But, turned out to be a good race. The first couple of laps in that second race were hard work, and I was really having a battle with my teammate, Michael Cracknell. And then, unfortunately, something happened behind me. I don't know what happened. There was a bit of a pile-up, and it allowed me to get a bit of a break. And then when I pitted, I knew I just had to, not push. I had to resist the temptation with Chris catching me, because I know these new tyres and with the new car setups, they really wear out in the last few laps. So I was really trying to conserve and if I had to have a go in the last 2 or 3 laps. But look, congratulations to Chris. He drove really well, and also to Johnny Brandon. He's on fire, so really enjoyed the night.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we've got the super sprints at Summit Point next time. Chris already has said he expects it to be a bit carnagey. What do you think?
Well, I always stay out of that stuff, as you know. But yeah, look, Summit Point's tight. It's going to be particularly, I think, crucial to make sure that you stay out of trouble at turn 1 and also turn 5, that left-hander, that little hairpin thing. So I'm just going to do my usual and try and steer clear of everyone in the first couple of laps. Let the race sort itself out, and then I'll try and keep myself in the top 5 to keep Johnny interested in the championship.
Yeah, of course, and of course, not in the championship. By my calculations, you are second in the championship now, still behind Johnny, but you've closed in today a bit. You're a handful of points behind now. Any thoughts towards that, or is it literally just race by race?
Oh, you know me, I'm just going to take it race by race. But I think that the important thing in the championship is that you keep the pressure on. And for me, I lack Johnny's outright pace, so I can't afford to have any mistakes. And that puts the pressure on him to make a couple of mistakes. And these things happened. And he had an incident today that I don't think was his fault, but those sort of things can happen when you're pushing at the front. And if I'm there just in 3rd or 4th doing my thing, I think I can push him right to the end.
Yeah, he's certainly done that so far, and yeah, hopefully you'll keep that up to the end of the season. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, of course, I'd like to thank our brand new sponsor, Speed Cafe, who've come on board to support Evolution Racing Team. I'd like to obviously thank Logitech G, and also my teammates for getting up early with me and racing with me, Brent and Michael Cracknell, and of course Apex Racing for putting on the broadcast every week. You guys do a fantastic job, so keep it up.
Thanks Jamie, and we'll see you in a fortnight's time.
Look forward to it, guys. Take care.
Cheers.
Also got race 2 winner, Johnny Brandon. Johnny, bad first race. We won't go too deep into that unless you feel like it. But race 2, very, very good.
Yeah, it was. I got really lucky, didn't I, with the reverse grid? Thanks for that, Marco. Oh yeah.
You're welcome, man. Ford power.
Yeah, and then just made sure I didn't get any incursions. So get the extra 10 bonus points. That's all I can really do after that first race. It was, we're racing close. Contact sometimes is inevitable. No one does these things on purpose, but it was, a bad timing. But hey ho, no one does it on purpose, do they? So it's racing, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course, that got you the feature race victory. Of course, you may have won the feature race anyway. You had superb pace up there. How much time have you had to kind of redo all the setups for this car? Of course, so many major changes to it. Have you kind of had time to be happy with your new setups now?
Believe it or not, I don't put that much time into the setups. I use the VRS Laguna Seika setup, which is the only one on VRS now that's legal, and just adjust the gearbox, adjust the tyre pressures, and adjust the gearbox for the track. That's what I use today. Yeah, haven't got time to play about with the car really. It's more just doing laps, and as long as I get the front end to do what I want it to do, then I can tend to manage the rear end. It's just some tracks, when others are on it and they've got a good setup, then it's really hard for me because I can really cook the rears quite quickly if I start pushing too hard. But generally, yeah, most of this season, up until the change, I used 2 setups for all those races. Used one for most of them, and then a different one for the final race before the change. So I don't spend a lot of time in the setup.
Yeah, it certainly shows that's more about driver skill than the equipment necessarily. And next time we've got Summit Points.
To be fair on that, I think they're better than the baseline. I think the VRS ones are good.
Yeah.
I think that does make a difference in that respect. But if I tend to look at them, and the choice is limited now because of the changes. They've all sort of become invalid. But I tend to look at a few of them if I can, and just find the one that the front end handles the best on the track, and that's it. And then just make do from there. But it normally works.
Yeah, certainly did work today. And yeah, Summit Point next time. Do you look forward to the super sprints? We of course saw you in the enduro earlier on in the season, just drive away from everyone else. That must have been a bit of fun. But the super sprints certainly offer a different challenge.
Yeah, obviously qualifying would be more important. Not having any contact will be important. So there's a bit of luck involved as well. I just like driving the car and racing. Racing is generally clean and good. Like I say, everybody makes mistakes. I've made them myself. It happens, so I'm a bit frustrated, but yeah, it should be good. Looking forward to it. I don't mind any track. I like them all. I like any format. It's great. It's just good to be racing the car.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, you've had quite a bit of bad luck so far this season. Just thinking about it, you had the pedals at Belle Isle in the feature race. You had a couple of incidents at Phillip Island in the feature race, and of course, then you kind of got tagged around a little bit today. Is your bad luck over, and is it just a rainbow road to the end of the season now?
I hope so. It would be nice. The thing is with luck, I'm not in control of it. So who knows? Hopefully, yeah. I haven't had the most luck. Just to start, I don't want good luck. I just don't want to have the bad luck anymore, and then I'll be happy. So just let things play out. But I'm sure it'll be fine going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be close. I don't know what the points are, but I think Jamie's made some up today. So it's going to be close, and that's what we all want. It'd be great. So
yeah, we've also got your teammate as well, Nicole, who's getting a bit closer as well in these past couple of rounds, so that could be a bit awkward. But yeah, it can be. It's an awesome championship, isn't it? You know, 5-way fight. You don't get that too much in main series.
and it should be more than that, because I think Tony's had a lot of bad luck as well. I think he struggled. I think Michael Cracknell missed the first round, so he's sort of down on the score sheets. I think he had a bit of a shocker tonight. So it could be a lot closer. There's probably 10 people in this series normally. Without the luck involved, any one of those 10 can win it quite easily. So Doman Gantar, I mean, he's normally right up there. He had problems with his wheel at the start of the season. That's affected him massively. I suppose you could. I've had a bit of bad luck, but I've also been a bit lucky because everybody else has had the bad luck as well. So, we'll see how it plays out. Long way to go yet.
Yeah, definitely. Before you let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
To you guys, thanks for the broadcast, to all the people that run the series, and XVR, my teammates, and everyone else that races in the championship makes it good. Except for Tony. I'm not talking to him today, but I'll get over it.
Oh, please give us a statement.
Only joking, Tony.
I guess we'll see you on Monday then for World GT.
Monday, well, it's my first. Yeah, I better get practicing for that. I haven't done a lap yet.
Oh,
yep.
Sounds good.
I'll be there Monday. Yep.
Cool.
Look
See
forward to it. Thanks, guys.
So Chaz, I think. Oh no, we've also got Brenton O'Brien. I'll have a quick word with Brenton O'Brien. Brenton, well done out there. That's another really good result. You've really had a couple of fantastic weekends in a row now. You must be absolutely delighted.
Give me a hell yeah best result I've ever had in the Euro Series. I'm probably not going to be able to race the next few, so coming sixth, with a bit of a flu, absolutely 10 minutes practice before the qualifying. I will apologise openly to Lane O'Connor. I think I tagged him looking at the replay. It didn't seem like that at the time, but looking at the replay, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, happy with that. Real happy with that.
Yeah, I think from what we saw, it looked like a bit of netcode, so you're slightly covered on that. But on that first lap in the in that second race, you seem to gain quite a few positions. What was your start like?
To me, my start off the line is as normal as anybody, but it's track position. It's seeing what's happening in front of you, and there's always a bit of chaos. So it's really about car positioning and making the most of it, and not getting yourself to the position where if you brake so deep, you're the one that's then getting attacked. It's more brake early, watch everybody else do their thing, and then hopefully, with a bit of luck and a few mistakes in front of you, you can make the most of it. So, yeah, look, made up a few spots. Yeah, there was a couple of guys who knocked into each other, which certainly helped. But yeah, no, it was good. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and what rounds are you hoping to do to the end of the season? When do we expect to see you back?
Well, don't know, to be honest with you. I have to have a look, see what's going on. Just the snow ski season's coming to an end here, so I want to try and catch some slopes before that comes to an end. Look, yeah, I'll see how we go. If I get there, I get there. I'm supposed to go skiing today, but it's just white out, so I'm not going to do anything today. That's why I'm here now. So, yeah, no, so it's each week at a time, as they say in football.
Yeah, absolutely. And before you let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, just for behalf of Jamie, because he's a bit of a tool, so he just says he has to thank West End Mazda for sponsoring the series. So thank you to West End Mazda. Thank you to Apex Racing UK, or Apex Racing TV, sorry, for covering this. So yourself, Marco. Obviously, Logitech G, fantastic to have them. Keep doing what they're doing every week. And speedcafe.com, which is our new sponsor. Had them for a few weeks now, and it's great to see. And well done to Jamie. And a shout out to Johnny Brandon. Look, don't believe this. He doesn't have any set rubbish. He races with ERT for the Enduros in the Premier Series. He's got some decent sets under his belt, that boy. So good job to him in the feature race as well. It's great to have him on board for us at the moment with the Enduros.
Yeah, I'm sure there's not too many other drivers that you'd prefer in your car, certainly. Thanks, Vincent, and we'll see you in a fortnight's time.
Cheers, mate.
So yeah, 2 weeks' time, Summit Point, Chaz. Of course, you've seen this series for the first time today. Of course, I hyped up this series quite a bit, but you know that it was a genuine, fair building up for this championship.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You've hyped it up a lot in the time we've been speaking about doing it, and it's perfectly justified. It's a hell of a series. There's not too many cars. There's really respectful driving between everyone, and it's close racing, and it's really good battling because there's such a competitive attitude from everybody that's involved, and the pace is quite matched all the way throughout the field. So even if you've got some of the sort of, no disrespect for using the word slower, but some of the slower drivers towards the back of the field, they've all got people as well that are matched in terms of the pace that they've got. So it's not always just the battles at the front. There's a really nice spread of pace all the way through, and it's great to see that you get that throughout the whole race. The reverse grid and the pit stops adds something in that I've not seen in many series that I've commentated on. And yeah, like you say, I love watching these V8 supercars no matter what they're doing, and to see them racing like this tonight has been brilliant.
Yeah, it was a fantastic round of the Euro V8 Supercar series. Next up for us, tomorrow we've got the BSR Simultal Porsche Cup. So certainly tune in for that. That should be good. That's the first ever Porsche Cup BSR thing. So yeah, that will be good fun to watch. And then on Monday, like I said earlier, World GT, that will be at Bathurst. So that will be very interesting. Let's say I'm sure Chaz, you'll be involved in that one. Then on Tuesday, the Mazdas and the Vic Tech Sports Car Series. So on Monday night, Wednesday we got the Le Mans Series. Thursday the BSRTC Pro Series, and yeah, next week we might even have a World Championship Grand Prix Series as well. Not quite sure if that's next week or the week after. But for now, from me, from Mark, and from Chaz, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.